This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, or is it good morning, boys and girls? Call of Elementary. Welcome to Djuma in the Sabi Sands in South Africa, where the temperature is 32 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a beautiful afternoon, and we saw some Cape buffalo from the distance, and we decided to come and check out what they were doing. And then we found this young male leopard by the name of Hosanna. He's about 2 years and about 8 or absolute favorite leopard, and he's enjoying a little bit of shade on top out, as I said, in the African wilderness. And please talk to your teacher about sending through questions. Let us know what you'd like to talk about. I'm not the only one out this afternoon, so let us know what you'd like to talk about. We've got a leopard right now, so any questions you might have about this individual, please send them through. There's a little bit of a breeze coming through from our western side now. It is the afternoon here in South Africa, and this is the normal time that we go out on game drives in the afternoon. Generally, afternoons and mornings are when it all happens, because animals like this are generally not doing too much in the middle of the day, so our afternoon and morning safaris are the most popular. Hey, Jarvie, you know if it's missing what it is that they get up to. And this young individual leopard actually had a young buffalo carcass quite a while ago, probably 5 months ago. Oh, he's just said hello. He's just raised his head there. Now you can see his very beautiful face. People were looking for him this morning. They couldn't find him, and well, I had a feeling if we came to there's some buffalo a little bit further off in the distance. We're not going to drive off-road for them, but we can drive off-road for this cat, even though we are situated on the road. So we thought maybe if we drive around the buffalo, we might see some lions that maybe have gotten interested in the buffalo. But Hosanna is an individual leopard who has got a little bit of a thing for buffalo, and I don't really know what it is. I think it's just a game for him. After eating one youngster, I think he's got that taste in his mouth for it. But so he likes to chase them around every now and again. I think it's more of a game for him than anything else. And normally when there is a kill, there are birds in the sky that can attract us to the kill. And I've got a friend in the Mara who's going to show you one.
Well, thanks, Steve, and a warm welcome all the way up to another country in Africa. We're about 2,000 miles away from Steve in a beautiful, beautiful place called the Masai Mara. And we found some vultures who are looking for animals like young Hosanna, the leopard you've just been looking for, because they can't catch their own food. They rely on animals either dying of old age, or the big cats like lions or leopards to catch something, and these guys come in and make sure that nothing goes to waste, because they've got little beaks. They can eat all the little bits that the big cats can't get to. My name is Scott, and it's wonderful to have you guys with me. So please send through questions. I know some of you have already asked Steve if he's scared living in the bush. I am much more scared in most cities than I am when I'm out here. And the reason being is that animals don't want to cause any trouble with us, as a general rule. It's only usually when we give animals a hard time that they try and defend themselves. Now, as you can see, the vultures are just kind of sitting about at the moment, and it's the time of plenty for them. They've probably flown a long way from here in order to cash in on the migrating herds. And as we look around this area, we're going to show you a lot of wildebeest. And there's so much food that's come a long way from the country below us. And look at all those black dots. As James zooms in, you'll start seeing more and more black dots, even way off in the distance. And all of these animals, like I said, have come a long way to feed on the grass that is growing here. Skylar, you would like to know if the animals ever come close to us. And yes, sometimes they do come very, very close to us in the vehicle. And the reason being is that because we've spent so many years in this area, even before we got here, other people have been coming on holiday here looking at the animals. They've begun to learn that we don't hurt them, we don't feed them, we just look at them. And because of that, we kind of are not very important to them. You can imagine if somebody hangs around and doesn't but doesn't hurt you, doesn't take your chocolates out of your lunchbox. You'll also just get used to them. And that's basically how the animals act now. So hopefully a little bit later we will be able to get a bit closer to some of the animals, but we usually let them decide how close they want to come to us rather than us putting too much pressure on them. Very, very good. Well, I'm happy that you guys have already seen a leopard this afternoon. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to find you something like a cheetah, similar to a leopard, but different, and maybe even some lion. Logan, you would like to know how fast are vultures? Well, depending on how fast the wind is blowing will depend on how fast they can fly. But ordinarily they don't have to be too quick because they don't catch their own food. They're not like other eagles that need to swoop in and catch something. They rely on animals that have already been killed by the big cats, or like I said a little bit earlier, that have just died of old age. And there literally are hundreds of thousands, over 1 million animals migrate into this area. We can only see a tiny portion of them now. There's a lot more in all the other valleys. And with so many animals, the big cats don't necessarily kill all of them. Some of them just die because they've got sick or because they've got old. So there's a lot of food around at the moment, and that is what the vultures are enjoying feeding on. And very importantly, making sure that there's not rotting carcasses everywhere, because that could cause disease to the other animals. They're very, very important for cleaning up the African wilderness. Very good. Well, there's somebody else that would like to take you for a ride on their vehicle, and you haven't met her yet. Go and jump on board with Taylor.
Good afternoon to all the wonderful kids who have joined us today. It's great to have you. I'm not the hippopotamus that you just saw on your camera. That's a hippo. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is VM. And we're very excited to be out here. Now remember to ask your teachers lots and lots and lots of questions. Now we're at a big dam. So this is a man-made dam. They've dug it out quite a bit, so it's got a lot of water in it at the moment, which means that we're going to have hippos, lots and lots of hippos. There's actually 61 hippos in this dam. Well, that's when they were doing the count, so flying around in helicopters counting all the animals to see how many there were. And on that day they counted 61 hippos, but lots of different hippos can come in and out of this watering hole. But they're not doing too much at the moment. But this is what hippos do during the day, is they just relax and play in the pool. Ella, now you've asked about the water that the hippos are in. Do they need fresh water or salt water? They could swim in orange juice if they wanted to, because hippos are mammals, so they breathe air. So for them it is no problem to come to the surface and take a big gulp of air. They can hold their breath for quite a long time, so for about 6 minutes actually. So they don't have any gills, so they're not going to be, that doesn't matter if they have if it's salt water or fresh water. There was even a hippopotamus seen on the east coast of South Africa in the ocean not so long ago. How cool is that? Imagine you just at the beach and enjoying your day, sun tanning, and then a hippo runs past you and off it goes for a swim in the waves. I don't know what I would do if I saw something like that. Oh, look, VM, look at all the oxpeckers. This is one of my favorite things to see on hippos. And we see them almost every single day. And those birds, like I said, are called oxpeckers. So they use the hippo for a number of different things. At the moment, they're just drinking off of the back of the hippo. They must be very thirsty. It's a very hot day. So I think lots of different animals are going to come down to the water's edge. Now, Matthew, you've asked, what do hippos eat? Well, the reason why the hippos are so tired now is because they've all been walking around last night, or just as the sun went down. All the hippos decided, right, it's time to go find some dinner. So they had to walk very, very far to try and find grass. So that's what hippos like to eat. But sometimes they will eat fruit from trees. There's a tree called a sausage tree. I don't think I can show you one. I know there's one in Chitwa Camp, but it's a bit difficult to see from here. And they've got these massive fruits that look like ginormous sausages. They're really cool, and hippos like to eat them. Lots of animals actually like to eat those, and then sometimes if they're really desperate, maybe you'll see them eating leaves, but they're not supposed to eat leaves. They are just supposed to eat grass. There's a baby hippo. I like the way that the hippos can use their ears to spray water on their backs. Not that they need it though, because they can just go right in and underneath. Oh, there's a whole lot of little hippopotamus there. They all look very tired and fast asleep. But somebody else that seems to be quite sleepy is Hosanna.
Yes, well, he hasn't moved again, apart from just turning his head a little bit, inviting somebody to come and scratch him on the chin. Don't ever try and do that, though, boys and girls. It's very dangerous to do that. He might look very relaxed, as I said before, and it's a wild animal. And we're very blessed here in the Kruger Park to be able to spend time with these big cats, to get as close as we do. And while he's lost interest, he probably did follow the buffalo here. We're just going to pan across the road to show you what attracted us to this area in the first place. Just on this side over here, there's a very large herd of buffalo in the thickets over there. Not easily seen because they're a little bit far off, but it's possible that that's what enticed him to come out. And from where he's lying, he can still be watching them if he's interested. But the buffalo are down by the watering hole, which is not far from where we are, a few hours ago, drinking. And then they move back into the grass areas where they'll do some more feeding. And a lot of them were lying down. Hello, Adriels. You want to know how fast a leopard can run? Well, they run at about 90 kilometers an hour. So that's about 45 or so miles an hour. That's incredibly quick. So over about 20 yards or so, they can cover that in a matter of seconds. A second will get 20 yards at charging speed, but they're not designed for running very long distance. They camouflage. You saw the spots on this individual over here. He's got lots and lots of spots. The only reason we saw him is because he's sitting on top of a very open termite mound. But the objective is, with those spots, is to get as close as he possibly can to an animal, and then once he gets there, an explosive speed of 45, 46 miles an hour off the blocks, and then he tries to catch whatever it is he's trying to get. But he's not a distance runner. It's all about stealth and getting as close as you can. If the animal gets away from that 20-yard sort of dash, well, then they generally leave it alone and move on to something else. They are on their own, generally, leopards. You can see his beautiful claws there. At rest, the claw, well, you can't see the claws, you can see the feet. At rest, the claws are inside the toes there, and when he wants to pull them out, he has to use the muscles of his foot to push them out, and then that is for catching animals. Very much like a domestic cat. If you've ever played with their feet before, their claws go back inside, and then they come out again when they want to attack. Mackenzie, I've never been attacked by a wild animal, no. Thankfully not. It's not ideal to be attacked by one, but we do walks out in the African wilderness, and we do lots of driving. And I have had elephants come very close to the car. I've had elephants be aggressive towards the car, but we understand the behavior, and it's good to be able to move away from that. And that is why there's a lot of training involved to be able to do what we do. It's not ideal to just be anybody to come out here and to get close to big animals. You have to have some respect and also a little bit of common sense, really. The animals, when they're irritated, they let you know. As you can see, he is not bothered by a single thing, isn't he? If he was not happy with us, he would be crouched low, looking at us, growling. But he's not doing any of those things. It's all about reading the behavior. If you don't understand behavior, well, you don't get very far in life. It's the same as with us. We've got to understand people's behavior so we know when we're annoying someone, or when someone's about to beat us up, or getting annoyed for some reason. We all know those things, don't we? Yes, we do. But anyway, we're probably going to move on from this leopard in a little bit and see what else we can find, because it is getting quite hot. But Scotty Dyson up in the Masai Mara has got two beautiful animals.
Everyone, I'm just using the old binoculars to try and see if I can see anything. Let me see if I can see you guys all the way in America. No, you're too far. Let me keep looking for lions. So, because it's so open here, unlike the thick bush where you are with Taylor and Steve down in South Africa, you can see for miles and miles. So, it's useful to just stop every now and then and use the binoculars in the hope that you may spot something like a lion. I'm kind of checking the shady spots now. You guys can help me, because on a hot day like this, it's most likely that the lions, just like Hosanna with Steve, will be sleeping. But one of my favorite things about being on safari is that you just never know what is going to happen and when. Unlike us, animals don't have kind of breakfast, dinner and lunchtime, so they operate differently. Oh, there's some zebra. Well done, James. I'm teamed up with today on camera. I don't think you've seen any zebra yet this afternoon. They, along with the wildebeest, the other animals we showed you earlier, the kind of black ones that look a little bit like a cow, they are the main two animals that migrate a couple of 100 miles every year to come and feed on the grass here for about 3 or 4 months, and then they keep moving up and down and up and down, and that is how they manage to find enough food for all of them, because if they were all to stay in one area for too long, they would eat everything and then there'd be nothing left for them to feed on. Anything under those bushes that you guys can see? What you're kind of looking for is just the shape of a cat's head, the outline, not necessarily the colors, but the funny, kind of not the funny, but the telltale shape of a cat's ears. Doesn't look like there's any hiding under those shady bushes, but we're going to keep searching, and hopefully, maybe once it cools down a little bit and they start moving around, it'll be a little bit easier to find them. Hello Rosalie, you would like to know if we ever eat the animals, and not here in Kenya, no. There's no hunting allowed in Kenya, but in South Africa it's a little bit different. So you get places where there are no lions or leopards, but it's wild bush. So because there's no lions or leopards to eat them, it allows the humans to snack on them. So instead of eating cows, some people like to eat wild animals, but usually it's not that common. Okay, well I think we've had a good enough search over here, so let's keep moving. Hello Candor, you'd like to know how many animals can change their kind of camouflage or coloration. Well, the chameleon is one, the obvious one that comes to mind, and we do get chameleons here. Not too much down in the open plains, but up on the hill. Let me show you the hill behind us. There's a big hill, and our camp is on top of that hill, and that's where I've seen the most chameleons. There you can see the big hill. Oh, we need to race you off to Taylor. It sounds like she's got a bird that's busy having a feast.
Look how crazy this is. It is a hornbill. I haven't even been able to see which type of hornbill it is just yet. It's got a big old frog. Look at that. Now you'll see its long legs, which are hard to mistake for something else. See, look. Oh, I think it's still alive. I think that frog is trying to get away still. Oh my word. Now, birds will eat a lot of different things, and different types of birds have got special beaks to help them eat the foods, well, that they should be eating. I don't think I've ever seen a hornbill, well, this species of hornbill, if it's a red or a yellow-billed hornbill, I've never seen them eating frogs before. That doesn't mean that they don't, though. They like to eat scorpions and centipedes and sometimes even a little bit of fruit. They eat lots of insects. And now I can add frogs because it's the first time that I've seen it. I have been seeing a lot of tree frogs at the moment, so it could be one of them. It could be a southern grey foam nest frog. It's very hard to tell from here. You can see the light is very, very bad where we have the sun in front of us, which can be difficult at times. So we're just trying to guess. I think I can't see how big the beak is. Vian, have you seen? I think it's a red-billed, hey? Does it look like an African grey? I think that's what we said initially. We thought it was an African grey, which is another species. But now it just won't turn itself off to the right. Okay, perfect. Louise, if you can see it, we've just got glare left, right and centre. So it looks like an African grey. Yes, now you can see with the ridge on its beak. A little bit. Is it trying to swallow it now? Surely not. We'll need to try and kill it, otherwise that frog's going to climb back out. It won't really. But that frog does look like it's bigger than the size of that bird's head. How bizarre. Well, that bird is going to be full after it manages to eat it. It might take it down onto the ground and eat it on the floor. It might find it a bit easier, especially if it still needs to try and make sure that it's dead. No, Johnny, we don't ever help the animals. Well, sometimes we do, but if the animal is injured or becomes sick because it's just one of those things that happen out in nature, then we'll leave them alone. But if an animal is injured or becomes sick because of people, so for poaching, if an animal has maybe got a snare, which is a piece of wire, it's like a wire trap, and it can get stuck around their necks and on their legs and on elephants' trunks, then we will help them because that animal only found it because a person put it there. And then if a type of disease or virus or something gets in because of people, then, maybe it's a dog that's got rabies or something like that, then we will help them. But otherwise, like that frog, I wouldn't help. That frog needs to be eaten by the bird because that bird needs all the energy, and it can only get energy from food. And this is one of the more shy species of hornbills too. I'll be very surprised if it wins. It looks like that frog is still moving around a little bit. They do have very big, sharp, powerful beaks, but their beaks aren't designed like a kingfisher's beak or a stork's beak that would normally eat frogs and fish. So it'll be interesting to see if it's just going to crush it. It looks like it is just trying to crush it with its powerful beak. You can hear it's quite windy as well. This was very cool to see. I wish we were a little bit closer and had a better view, but we just wanted to make sure that what is it doing now? It's holding it up in the air. We just wanted to make sure that we didn't try and scare it away because I wanted to show you all. Okay, well, this could take quite a while before it decides to actually swallow it. Let's go to Steve, who's now moved on from Hosanna. I wonder what he's going to go and find you next.
Well, nature works in some fantastic ways, and prey and predator out here are always in the battle, doing what they're doing. Not just leopards and lions, but birds and frogs. Well, this morning we had a male leopard, the father of the one we just saw. We found him sitting on top of a mound waiting for something. We weren't quite sure what. And then out of nowhere, a warthog. You know what a warthog is. You've seen Pumbaa came out of the hole, and poor warthog got caught by the leopard. And so we're going to go back over there to see how things are going on with Tingana, who is the father of Hosanna, and he is the dominant male leopard of this area. So we're going to go see exactly what he's up to. There's a good chance because he killed the warthog and he left it on the ground. and he probably has taken up the tree now. Davian and Ariana, you want to know how hot and cold it can get? Well, the hottest temperature I've received here is about 48 degrees Celsius, so that is about 115 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe more. Very hot. And it only gets to about 2 degrees, about 2 above freezing. Now, I don't know how to work that out in Fahrenheit. I think it is 34 Fahrenheit, the coldest, if I'm not mistaken. But it's quite mild. We don't really get frost. This area can get a small amount of frost every single year, but it doesn't really get cold enough. And it feels quite cold in the winter because we're driving around in these open vehicles, and the wind in our faces can be quite chilly. But the heat can sometimes be a little bit too much for a lot of people. So you've got to pick the right time of year. Your summertime in the United States would be around our winter time. So the winter time is a good time to come because it's nice and cool. Summer times can be very, very hot. So it actually works quite well for the summer break for a lot of Americans to come through to South Africa. Summer holidays down here, and they come here in our winter. Our winter's quite mild. The days are nice and sunny and warm, but the mornings can be a little bit fresh, but you just need a couple jackets or so and you'll be fine. Very good. We'll just go around the corner. We actually found the tracks of this male leopard coming in from the east. He's been on a little honeymoon vacation with a lady friend for a couple of days, and then we found his tracks, and because he's been with the lady for a few days, he was quite hungry, so we found his tracks just back there, and we followed him through here, and then he was headed towards what we think one of the watering holes just around the corner. And then I was actually out at Senzo this morning, and I was looking at the road, looking for the tracks. We got the fresh tracks walking on the road, because it's very important to be able to understand. Oh my word, that is an owl in the middle of the day. That is awesome. Have a look at this spotted eagle owl. I'm going to try and position it for you in a way. Senzo, is that good for you, hey? Yes, look at that. That is a spotted eagle owl. That is a nocturnal bird. You don't normally see them in the daytime. They're quite camouflaged, but my eyes are just working overtime at the moment, being able to spot leopards in this environment. You get to the point where you can even see owls by day. So that is very cool. Beautiful orange eyes, and it looks like ears on the top of his head, doesn't it? But it's not actually ears. They are called ear tufts, though, and they think that owls have the ear tufts to help them with camouflage when they're standing against a tree, and also so that others of the same species can identify them for sexual purposes. And there's slight differences in the ear modifications. But the ears are actually there on the side of the head. You see where that half moon circle was behind the eye? That's where the ears actually are. He's a bit sleepy. He heard my car and he's like, "What are you doing? Why are you looking at me now? I'm supposed to be sleeping." Fantastic. Look at it. The wind is blowing his eyes open. Melvin, birds do eat insects. There's a lot of birds here that only eat insects. And this owl right here that you're looking at, they look very, very, what's the word, regal, or very sort of, I don't know, smart and intelligent. And something about owls I've always really, really enjoyed. But I once found one of these guys walking around on the road, very awkwardly catching insects with its feet. And then it's able to pick them up like a parrot, put its foot to its mouth. It was catching termites and insects on the road, but a huge amount of the bird species that we have here feed on insects, and all of the birds that are going to be migrating in from either from Africa, further north in Africa, or from Europe, all come here specifically for the insects, which after a little bit of rain, which is coming in the next few weeks or so, the insects will explode out here. But while this owl is waiting for insects, it will feed on a lot of rodents, even frogs, like what Taylor was showing you just now with that other bird. and maybe even small birds. Quite a varied diet, maybe even a skink as well, a lizard, maybe even a snake. But rodents and insects do form a high portion of this bird's diet. Very, very cool. Well, that is nice to see in the middle of the day. Hello, owl. Ooh, ooh. That's what he sounds like. Ooh, ooh. Very typical sort of owl call, isn't it? Okay, well, we're not far away now from where we've left the leopard this morning. So while we just try and relocate to him, let's go back up to the Masai Mara where my friend Scotty D is trying to find you a lion.
Well, I'm very happy that Steve found you an owl. I think there's a hyena over here, just at about 9 o'clock, James, in front of that little green bush. And it's just disappeared behind a termite mound, but I'm sure it's going to pop up. It seemed like it was on the move. So well done to Steve for finding that owl, even though they usually do their business at night. There we can see it now, James, if you just go back to that termite mound, just to the left of it. There we go. Well done. So you guys are getting spoiled. Lots of meat eaters, lots of predators, whether they're the birds or the mammals. Hello. And it looks like its bottom's full of mud. Hyenas like sleeping in little muddy puddles during the day to keep cool. They're not like lions and leopards and cheetah that avoid water usually. Handel, you would like to know if I've ever wrestled with an animal. And no, I certainly haven't. It would be foolish for us to try and take on any wild animals. They're much stronger than we are, even if they're not necessarily bigger than us. Wild animals have got very, very powerful muscles. So you wouldn't want to mess with them. And of course, like I said a little bit earlier, the reason why we get to look at the animals and get close to them is because we never interfere with what they're doing. We're just spectators. So it's just like going to a football game and sitting in a stadium. We don't play the game, and we don't want to wrestle with the big football players, just like you wouldn't. And just by spectating and watching, the animals get used to us and therefore don't mind us following them and getting an idea of what they get up to. What are your plans? Hyenas have got a very good sense of smell, and you could see there, you see how it's putting its nose down to the ground. I wonder what it can smell. Possibly where another predator's been walking. They like to follow predators like cheetah, lion, and leopard, because they know once they catch up to the big cats, there's a chance that they can try and steal their food. Very good. Well, the hyena's gone to sleep, and thankfully, Steve has already found you another animal. It is the biggest one we see out here.
A very big and strong animal indeed. We just seem to be bumping into everything today. That is what happens on safari, boys and girls. Don't think that this is what happens every single day. We don't always start our show with a leopard and then bump into buffalo and then bump into a beautiful owl and then bump into an elephant and then bump into another leopard maybe. It happens sometimes. This is a beautiful big male elephant, probably between the age of about 25 and 30, somewhere around there. He's on his own. He's quite often what you find with the bulls. They don't like to hang out with the ladies. Ariana, you want to know how big an elephant is? Well, a big elephant can get up to about 14,000 pounds. 14,000 pounds. Now that is big. This guy, I don't think, is quite that size just yet. He's still got some growing to do, but he's still probably around regions of 8 or 9 or even 10,000. So very hard to say by just looking at him. And we are about 40 yards off, so he is even bigger than you think when he's up close. We're on the road and he's in sort of the dry riverbed. So we're a little bit higher than him, but he is a big boy. See those big tusks? He's using his And the tusks are used for digging into the bark of the trees, which they often use to pull off the bark and to strip them and to eat that bark. Now he's using his trunk to find nourishment. A very good sense of smell, elephants. He's trying to figure out what he wants to eat next. Got to feed on about 600 pounds of food every single day. Sometimes, you want to know how elephants survive? Well, they're very big. When they are born, they stay in a herd with their mother and their family, and they look after each other. And the youngsters will have milk from mum for about 2 years or so, and then they slowly, over those 2 years, learn how to use that trunk. And once they figure out how to use that trunk, they're able to drink by pulling water up into the trunk, which is actually their nose, and then they pour that into their mouth. And with the trunk, at the tip of the trunk is 2 little finger-like projections, which they're able to be very delicate in their feeding. And they can feed on the smallest of particles, but then also on enormous amounts all day long. So they're just constantly feeding. They are vegetarians. They eat whatever they want to out here, because they can pull up the grass, they can push over the trees, they can eat the top of the trees, they can eat the roots. With their tusks, they can eat the bark. And of course, when there is fruit, well, they absolutely love fruit. As do most of us. I think I enjoy my fruit. Okay, well, he's decided he just wants to disappear a little bit. And can you believe such a big animal like that can disappear in the thickets? If he wasn't moving, we probably wouldn't know he's there. Anyway, he's moving off. He doesn't want to be on the show this afternoon. He's maybe feeling a little bit lonely. But what he is doing is he's heading directly towards where we had left that male leopard with his warthog. So that might be interesting, because one thing elephants don't like, it's predators, and they often will chase them. Especially the females, when they've got babies, they'll chase leopards and lions away. So he's heading straight there. So we're going to go around the corner, see if we can find our beautiful large male leopard by the name of Tingana, which actually means the shy one. Jazz, well, not normally. Lions don't normally go for elephants, but they, in very, very crazy conditions, they can. If a young elephant gets separated from its family, well, they can be easy pickings for lions. But there are places in Botswana where conditions have changed a lot because of lots of elephants, and there's prides of lion in that area. A place called Savuti in Botswana. There's prides of lion in that area, 40, 50 lions, and they do hunt elephant. Very, very crazy, actually. Quite a scary thing to film. I've seen some documentaries on them filming. Very, very, you can imagine a big leopard, a big elephant running around with a pride of lions on its back. Well, you don't want to be parked anywhere near that, do you? That is scary. Okay, well, we're almost there. Elephant, I think, is slowly going to make his way this way. He might come out of the sort of drainage line, the river depression. Let's go and have a look. Keep our eyes, just going to keep our eyes peeled and see where we left him this morning. But while we try and relocate on this beautiful leopard down here in the river depression, let's go back to Scott, some wildebeest.
Good luck, Steve. We have found some wildebeest, and they're just enjoying snacking on the grass. The reason why the grass is so short is because there was a massive fire that burned through this area about 3 or 4 months ago, and the wildebeest like that because it means that there's no long dead grass, which isn't tasty, and it means it also makes space for the new green grass to grow. So the fire is important, not all the time, but by burning out, like I said, all the long dead grass, it makes space for fresh green grass to grow. It's very, very windy here this afternoon, and good conditions for hunting and good conditions for the big cats to be on the move. So hopefully before you guys leave we can try and find some lion. I'm desperate to try and show you some lion. So let's keep moving. I've been stopped here for a few minutes scanning around looking. But no luck just yet. Maybe now that you guys are on board you can help me scan. So lean forward. And if any of you see a lion, please shout. Melvin, you'd like to know if it's very cold, if the lions can wear a scarf. No, they sadly can't. They're not lucky like we can. We can put clothes on to go swimming, put clothes on to go snowboarding. So we're very lucky in that we can change our clothes depending on if we're a hot area, a cold area, if we're in the water. But the lions have to just deal with their one set of clothes, which is their fur coat. And most of the time their fur coat will keep them warm in the cold weather. The tricky thing that lions have is when it's hot. They can't take their fur coats off, so that's why they just need to kind of try and find some shade and snooze during the day. I did say earlier that lions and most big cats in Africa don't like going into the water, but you do get big cats in other parts of the world like jaguars in South America, as well as the tigers in India, that do like going for a swim when it's hot. And on one occasion it was so hot here that I actually saw 2 lions sleeping in a little puddle of water, but I've only ever seen that once. And that was a good reminder and lesson to me, because like I said earlier, you just never know what is going to happen with wild animals. Just like us as humans, they've all got their own personalities, they all look slightly different. And just like you know from all of your classmates, some people like certain food, some people like certain sports, some people get cold when it's not very cold, and it's the same with wild animals. They are each their own individual. Even though for us it can be difficult to tell one lion looks different to another, they definitely do. Just not easy for us to see. And not just looks, but also personalities. I'm hoping we're not going to get any rain. I don't think we are, but with all this wind, some clouds could get blown in. So crossing fingers it doesn't rain. Well, you guys are off to go and see another treat. This time Taylor's found something.
We have got another treat for you. It is a leopard. Very, very lucky this afternoon to have seen so many cool things. There are also some lions nearby, so we'll see what they get up to later. You can see she's looking down in that direction at the moment. Now, lions and leopards don't like each other because they'll both go for the same kinds of food. So both leopards and lions like to eat meat. They'll eat impala, they'll eat kudu, they'll eat anything they can. And this leopard actually has a kill up in a tree a little way away. And I think she's worried that if the lions come through here and they realize that her kill is up the tree, they might climb the tree and steal it, because well, that's what lions like to do. Lions will steal other predators' kills. So that's what we call the big cats. Any of the animals that eat meat, we call them predators. As you can see, it's very hot. Very, very hot. She's panting quite a bit. Valentina, so the reason why you always see leopards up in trees and why they sleep there is because unlike the lions, the leopards can climb the best out of the cats that we get in Africa. So they've got very, very powerful shoulders, and they can balance quite well. So to try and keep away, remember what we were just talking about now, how lions will come and steal leopards' food, and so will hyenas. So the leopards need to try and find a way to, I suppose, hide their food away. So they take it up in trees, which the other animals can't do. Well, they've got, like I said, they've got the most power. So then sometimes they sleep in those trees too. Maybe it's also a bit cooler up there, but at the moment there's not a lot of leaves on any of the trees, so I don't think it would be very cool anyways. So it's probably better that she comes and she lays here. I think she's quite clever by laying quite far away from where her kill is. Jazzy, yes, lots of times we get spotted by leopards. Sometimes when we're on foot, most of the time they run away from us, and they definitely know that we're in the cars. They're not stupid animals. They can work it out, but as long as you sit nice and still, then they really don't mind you at all. Some leopards are a little bit more scared than others, but this is a very relaxed leopard, and her name is Sibuya. She's very pretty. I've never seen her before. It's the first time that I've ever got to see her. So I can't wait to have a closer look at this beautiful girl. No, it's been an awesome afternoon. I think you've had lots and lots and lots of animals that you've been able to see, lots of different animals. There's lots of flies around here too. I'm going to have to try chase them away. But thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you join us again soon. But now I'm going to send the rest of you back to Steve, who's with Tingana.
Thanks, Taylor, and welcome back to all of you normal viewers out there. It is a marvelous afternoon here in Djuma in the Sabi Sands. We have managed to relocate on the Duke himself, and he is standing, or sitting should I say, on the termite mound he was originally sitting on, panting away now because he's eaten a warthog's leg, and well, he is out in the open now compared to this morning when he was hidden away and we couldn't really see him. Now he's perched beautifully out on the top here, trying to get a breeze from the wind. And the good news is that he's managed to successfully tree his, or hoist his warthog. So if he does decide to go and feed on it, we have got a very good view from where we are. It's so interesting because it's in the exact same tree that Osana had one in 3 or 4 months ago. There was an impala though that time. Can't rightly remember. But his teeth are looking very good. Look at those teeth. Tundi's broken one of her canines, or it's worn down, hard to say. But his canines are still looking very, very good. The bottom ones anyway. Licking his lips in anticipation. He might go and feed shortly. Isn't he beautiful? To do some well-needed grooming, cleaning the warthog blood off of himself. Those of you who were not with us this morning, he sat on top of this termite mound that he's on and waited, and a female warthog came out and he launched himself on top of it and then took about, I don't know, how long do you reckon that was, Sense? 5 to 10 minutes to subdue it, really. But he did stay for another 15 minutes or so, holding on, making sure that it didn't move. It's fantastic to be able to view these animals naturally like this, doing their thing. We are very, very blessed out here. Anna Marie, he is panting. It's warmed up a little bit this afternoon, and I mean, I'm not sure if his belly's full. We'll have a look at the carcass in a little bit, and the only thing I could see before was one of the legs was completely eaten. It's possible he's eaten inside the cavity as well, but it's quite difficult to tell actually from this angle. You'll see there is the warthog now in the middle of the screen, and it is beautifully perched on top of that tree, and it's missing its back right leg. There's its back left leg. The back right leg is just a stump. I think he ate that. He probably ate a little bit of the rump, and what he did with the stomach is unclear, but it definitely will last him for at least a day or two. Nice Tamboti tree in the drainage line. So if he does go up there, we will have some prime viewing from where we're sitting. Where we're parked right now is also a good spot. Okay, well, we're probably going to spend a fair bit of time here with Tingana, hopefully get him up the tree doing his thing, and in the meantime, let's go to Scott.
It certainly is a dramatic view. and I love it when the rays of the sun burst through from the clouds. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have already seen the blog post, but for any of you who haven't, it's important that I give you an update as to what is going on with my future. And basically, it's taken many hours and sleepless nights to finally make what has been an incredibly tough decision, and that is that my time here at SafariLive has come to an end, and it's time for me to move off. Now, I would like to assure all of you that nothing strange or untoward has happened and caused me to leave. So please don't try and come up with any conspiracy theories as to why you think I may have left, because all that's going to do is create unnecessary doubt in what truly is an absolutely incredible company to work for. And, you know, I've spent 3 years now in total with SafariLive, and I feel I've contributed everything that I can to the team and the company and the product. And I feel that by me moving on, it'll open up the space for somebody else to come in and contribute, you know, new thoughts, new ideas, and also be able to give you guys a kind of fresh perspective as they will kind of give their insights into Safari. So you guys have that to look forward to. And I also feel quite happy in the fact that by me leaving, I know that I'm opening up the opportunity for another guide to come in here and experience all the magical moments that I've been lucky enough to share with all of you guys. A few people that I need to thank, Graham and Emily Wallington. If it wasn't for those two people, none of us would be sitting here. So massive thank you to you guys for making this happen. Specifically Graham, the mammoth undertaking to pull off such an extraordinary vision that is SafariLive, and all of you guys know there's nothing else like this on the planet, has been an incredible undertaking, and there's nobody else on the planet that could have pulled that off. So a big thanks and well done to him for getting this far. And it's not the end of the road for the company, there's no two ways about that, just for me. And I can't wait to see what happens with Wild Earth in the future. It's only going to get better, and hopefully soon you'll be going to new destinations, and there's no limit to where you guys can be taken by the future crew here. On that note, I'm not saying goodbye forever. Depending on what happens in the future, there is a good chance that I'll come back and be behind the driver's seat taking you guys on safari again. But for now, I just need to go out and find some new challenges. It's a big planet with lots of wilderness areas to explore, and I can't wait to go to a few new places that I haven't been to. So yeah, I don't know exactly what my plans are just yet. I'm going to take a couple of months off, spend some time with my friends and family. That's one thing that we miss, working out in remote locations, so looking forward to doing that. Also a massive thank you to all the crew members that have been involved in helping me get to where I've got to. There's a lot of people that you don't see that kind of get involved in all of the magic behind the scenes that makes this all happen. And there's obviously a lot of work that we do, but between the work there's a lot of fun that's been had. So thanks very much to all the crew. I look forward to spending some more time with you guys when you're back in the city and where we cross paths going forward. Then you guys, of course, the viewers, our biggest supporters. Without you guys we wouldn't be able to do what we do, and without your continued support, specifically for all of those who have been so kind to me as an individual, it's been absolutely epic having you guys right behind me every step of the way. And we have, as you guys well know, shared some magical moments. So yeah, I'll be leaving on Friday, so still 3 more drives. Let's make the most of it. And like I said earlier, please don't try to come up with any funky theories as to why you think I'm leaving, because that's just going to make me sad. And I just want to have fun for the next few days. Anyway, there's good news. Taylor's found a leopard. I wonder who it is.
Well, I think Scotty's all a bit emotional that he's forgotten we've been here for a while. Now, unfortunately, as most of you know, I can't stay in these sightings for very long because there are lots and lots of safari vehicles that rotate all the time to show guests from all over the world. obviously to come on safari. You're very lucky. You get to see it from the comfort of your own home. But of course this means that we do need to rotate through the sighting to allow everyone to get a chance. So we'll stay for probably about 5 minutes, and then unfortunately we're going to have to go. Already 2 vehicles have cycled through. Now, I'm so excited that I finally got to see Sibuye, because I've heard so many amazing things about her, and I always get sent and I see the pictures of her and her 2 cubs, and you know, they've been absolutely awesome, those 2 little cubs, from what I've seen. And obviously I said to you this morning how sad it was that this unknown male that presumably has come from the southern section, or the most southern corner here of Chitwa, and it's probably Mala Mala, maybe even Londolozi, we're not really sure just yet. And he came through and he unfortunately killed one of her cubs. Now the other cub is not here, so I don't know if she's gone back yet. I haven't got a clue. I think where the cub was killed it's on an area called Hoffman's. Now we don't have Traverse here, and it's a fair distance away from where she is at the moment. So she probably would have stashed those little ones away at the big termite mound. It was a beautiful big bourbon tree, so the Scotia, which one is it? The weeping bourbon. And anyways, it was a really good safe spot, I thought. They had the termite mound, they had the big Scotia tree, then just down below them, or just to the north of them, sorry, was a little drainage line lined with lots of tambuti trees, so there were plenty of places for them to hide away if danger came about. So no one really knows what happened, but it was definitely evident that shame that one of those little ones got taken. But it is nature. I mean, if it wasn't his genetics, he isn't going to stand for having all that competition around. So of course we're obviously very sorry for that, but it is nature, and these guys aren't particularly successful when it comes to raising youngsters. Because I don't know this leopard very well, I don't know if she's ever successfully raised cubs. I mean, she's not particularly old. She was born in 2015. 2013, sorry. So she's 5 years old, somewhere around there. And she's got a nick in her left ear. There you go, you see, so in her left ear, that could help with identification as well. I'm just thinking if I ever get to see her again, how I'm going to identify her nicely. Okay, Judy, so you were wondering how old she was. So, like I said, that's just from what I read. I also don't know who her parents are. Well, I know who they are, the Shidulu or Kikalezi female, who I'm not familiar with, and then the airstrip male, who I've heard of, but I've also never seen him before. I think he hangs around, isn't it around Mala Mala, the sort of Singita, Londolozi, those sort of areas, I think. Again, I haven't ever had the privilege of seeing them. And then her litter mate is a leopardess called Piccadilly, which I've seen that name pop up recently in a lot of posts, again, I think around Mala Mala. So it seems like she's just pushed a little bit north. Mala Mala is not particularly far from here. It's just down, literally just south, probably by maybe a kilometer or so, so just less than a mile. So, you know, that's really not far for, and it'd be quite normal for her to push out and come this way. There's just an aeroplane that's about to land. You might be able to hear it. She's not really paying too much attention. I think she sees and hears that aeroplane all the time. Konya, you've said Sibuya is gorgeous. She's beautiful. She's a lovely girl. I would like it if she'd look towards us again. I just don't want to go around the corner because otherwise we're going to be parked in the sun. And when she looks at us, she kind of looks this way. So we'll sort of see. She was standing up a minute ago. I also don't know if we're going to be able to get down to the lions because they're off of the Traverse. So we can't actually drive down there. But essentially they were somewhere over there. Is that one? There we go. There's one. And that is the Styx Pride. So I know you can just sort of sitting in the shade in a distance. I mean, not ideal, but we won't be able to go in there, unfortunately. So that's exceptionally close, as you can see. Very, very, very close. Let me reposition for you, VM, because she's just gone flat. Now, I don't know if the lions know she's here. I suspect that they don't have any idea. Cool, and we're gonna have one last view, and then we're gonna have to move on. There we go. Say my name, boy. Now, yes, I suppose she is in Tingana's territory, but Tingana actually hasn't been visiting Chitwa for quite some time. Perhaps you remember when he was really sick and he kind of used this area as like his hospital recovery I suppose, reserve. He was here for a couple of months, but now he's gone back to his old area, which is predominantly on Djuma. He also pops into Buffelshoek and Torchwood, and then, of course, he comes onto Chitwa, Hoffman's, not Hoffman's, but Little Gowrie, and then sometimes on Arethusa too. But he's been preoccupied in Torchwood and Buffelshoek with the female that he was mating with unknowingly. So I think she I don't know which male she did mate with. I'm not sure who the father is of her cubs, or the one existing cub now, but I suspect that, yeah, I think she's come out of that area where he maybe traverses, so perhaps that's why she was vulnerable. But leopards move around all the time, so if another male just came wandering through, which is not impossible because we've been seeing a lot of different males, well, I haven't, but there have been around, there's obviously a great chance that he'd come across them and just, well, unfortunately, yes, like I said, take them out. Right, well, it's a day of leopards today. Hopefully Scott will be able to bring in the cheetah. Let's go back to Steve with Tingana.
Well, thank you, Scotty. Good luck with your search up that side. There he is. He moved a little bit. And now I'm going to have to try and move a little bit if we want to get his face in the shot. I'll try roll forward a little bit, Senzi. What do you reckon? A little precarious here. Hey? A little bit precarious here. That's about as good as I'm going to get it. There we go. As he surveys the terrain, always keeping his eyes and ears open for if any other individual leopard or someone might come and try and steal his prize. Hello, Denise. No, male leopards generally, once they become of age, will try and secure a territory. I'm just taking my foot off the brake, Sands. Will try and secure a territory, and that normally can happen from about the age of between 4 and 6, and they can secure that territory for up until the age of maybe 10 or 12. In that case of Tingana, he's in his 13th year. But if they get displaced from their territory at any stage, then they can become nomadic and they'll live out their days that way. But the young males as well, until they're big enough to secure their own territory, well, they are nomads until eventually one day they've probably got enough fight in them and they're tired of moving around. They finally settle down and confront the dominant males within the area. And that's what Hassan is up to at the moment. He's still on the move. He's being sort of protected by the presence of his father in this area. And that's probably one of the reasons why he's not leaving. But so by no means is Tingana nomadic. He is a territorial male, and he is the Duke of Djuma. He does go into Torchwood as well as Buffelshoek, and even as far as Arethusa to the west. I don't think he's done that of late, but he used to cover an enormous area, and all that's really happened in the time I've been here is his territory's just kind of got a little bit smaller, and then he seems to have just come back with some serious spirit. Seems to be reclaiming it again, because since he got back and got all of his vigor back, we haven't seen Hukumuri. Yesterday was the first time in quite a while. I'm just going to talk to Texan quickly. Tex, the killer's up here, and he's this side. You might get better visual that side. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so Tex would like to come and see Tingana, of course. And there was a question coming through there, Lou. Say my name, boy. What an interesting name. You want to know if Hukumuri is the same size as Tingana? Well, Hukumuri is quite thickly set. He's quite a strong-looking leopard, but his tracks aren't as big as Tingana's. When you compare the tracks together, Tingana's got bigger feet. I think Tingana back in the day, before I got here, was an enormous leopard. He's probably one of the biggest I've ever seen. But he definitely has lost a little bit of weight, but I think he's still a big cat. I don't think Hukumuri is bigger than him. I think he might be quite thickly built, but he's not as tall as Tingana. But then I haven't seen them both together. But he is much younger. He's only about 5 or 6, so he's got a lot more on age. But there's a lot to be said for experience, a lot to be said for it. And generally, experience can get you through what brawn doesn't always get you through. Experience will. Beautiful. Well, he's definitely quite warm. You can tell by the panting, together with the food in the belly. And I'm hoping at some stage he's going to be climbing down this hill, going up into the tree and feeding on his prize. But in the meantime, Scotty D is still with the migrating herds. I wonder what he is going to be up to.
Yes, still many wildebeest parading around the Mara. And I'm really interested to see how much longer they stick around for. I was also saying earlier, I must admit, I don't actually know, can't remember when they left last year. So definitely this year they arrived later, about a month or maybe a month and a half later than they did the year before, they ordinarily would. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much longer they stick around for. I mean, these guys are heading northeast, so definitely not towards the Tanzanian border, which is good news, and I hope that they stick around for longer than normal because it's so great having all of them in town. It's hard to believe that this area, the entire Mara Triangle, is almost void of wildebeest and zebra outside of the migration months. You see the odd wildebeest bull kind of once a week, or if that. Zebra maybe a little bit more frequently, but not many of them. Interestingly though, it's not to say that there aren't wildebeest that remain in the ecosystem, but they like to hang out in the conservancies to the north of the triangle. Roshni, no, I don't think, I mean, the tricky thing with the migration, Roshni, is asking if I think the herds are heading back yet. There could be some that are already heading south straight into Tanzania that we don't know about, because obviously we're not there. It's not to say we couldn't find out, but we only know about the ones that are here, so to speak, and there's still definitely a lot hanging around here. Doesn't seem to be any different to, you know, the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's not like we're seeing less and less every day. So no, I don't think they are leaving just yet. There's still massive herds. Let's take a look on the other side of the car. I mean, this is one massive herd heading in one direction, and then on the other side of the vehicle we've got a whole bunch more. Massive herd, and there's actually, yeah, I mean, this is actually going to be a beautiful scene. Looks like a forest, but it's just a thick black column of wildebeest. And sorry, James's camera's got some health issues, so he's fighting the focus. It's been a bumpy migration season, so look at that massive herd there. Yeah, it's tricky because of the filters. Sorry, I've thrown James under the bus here. But if you zoom out a little bit, you'll see there's the herd in the foreground, that other herd in the background, and then another massive herd up on that hill back there. So there are still plenty of wildebeest around. What a magical scene that is. It would be interesting to know how many have made it back into Tanzania. There could well be some that have made it that far already. All right, let's keep moving. We've got a whole bunch of vehicles that are hunting as a pack. Hello, everyone. 5 of them following one another about. They're obviously all traveling in one big group. Imagine how much fun that is. Filling up 5 safari vehicles with your friends. Hello. Thumbs up. How are you doing? Thank you. Thank you. You see that? Some of you remember not long ago I was chatting about a lot of the vehicles see the Nat Geo emblem on the side of the car, but don't know anything about SafariLive. that was a bunch of them. But the same day I told you about that, the very next people we saw actually knew exactly what SafariLive were. Understandably, I mean, we're getting there, but we're not quite as well known as Nat Geo yet. But it is incredible in the same breath how many people we bump into that say they've come here specifically because of us, and you can imagine what a wonderful feeling that gives everyone involved in our company, knowing that we've had an impact on not only the individuals' lives and getting them here, but obviously a hugely massive contribution to conserving this area comes from all the people that visit it. So it's not just that we're getting people out to cool places, but they, in doing so, it's very dusty. If you drive in the same direction that the wind's blowing, which is kind of happening now, you just drive in your own dust, which is not very pleasant. Alrighty. Well, I didn't share too clearly, but I think we are going to be sending you to Sydney with some Impala. Is that possible?
Well, I am not Sydney. I don't think he's on drive this afternoon. And he has no Impala either. I am with Tingana still. I will be seeing Scott on Thursday. I'll fly up to the Masai Mara tomorrow evening to fill in on that side for the next month or so. So that's quite exciting. Looking forward to seeing all the birds up there. I didn't count too many last time. I think I got up to about 70 or so. There are plenty birds up in the Masai Mara, so I'm quite excited for that. I'm going to miss the walking though. That's why you probably noticed I did 3 walks in a row, just to get my walk on. And well, what are you going to do, Tingana? Are you just turning around? Oh, his belly is very full. He's got a very full belly. He might have eaten more of the warthog than we thought. Oh, he's going to go down the back, and maybe it's the time of day for him to go and have a drink. We're between, sorry about the back of our vehicle, and there's another vehicle on that side. We are basically between Twin Dams and Treehouse Dam, but Treehouse Dam is the closer of the two. And sorry about the position, we are precariously perched on the side of a termite mound, and right now we need to adjust a few levels to be able to get everything straight. I don't know where he is at the moment. I think he's right behind us. He's just standing there. He's probably trying to figure out where is the closest point of drinking. So we'll just have to wait and see. We're in a little bit of an interesting spot when it comes to the reversing side, especially when he's behind us, but we'll just have to wait, won't we? There's another vehicle here, so if he does start moving off, we'll be able to keep up with him, but we know where he'll be coming back to, because here is his sun-dried pig. Shame. Poor warthog will not be going home to dinner this evening. Okay, so he's moving. We're going to try and reverse back here. Hold on to your horses, everybody. Okay, well, while we get out of this interesting spot, let's go over to Taylor and see exactly where she's headed to.
Well, we're just driving around at the moment. I think we saw an elephant or something just down and around the corner. We actually just had a bachelor group of males come right past us and walk right past the car. It was really cool, but they're not particularly interested in hanging around, so they've carried on down into the bushes. We're just going to very swiftly go past some safari cars, and I think there's a mom and calf over here. So, hi Paul, you're long time. Good, good. Hello, hello. Hello, all the nice people on safari. How much fun, hey? I bet you'd like to be there. I love going on safari. Put my arms back, feet up, you know, maybe a little apple juice on the go. You never know. Did we just imagine an elephant? VM was also convinced he saw something at the dam that was very much elephant-like. I saw a mom and baby. At the moment, we've just got rocks. This could be very awkward. But I totally even saw a tail, VM. Maybe it's hiding behind this termite mound. This termite mound could hide an elephant behind it. Should we sneak around and see? Please be an elephant. Please be an elephant. This will be... Actually, I don't think it would surprise. Oh yeah, here it is. Here's the elephant. Just jokes, there's nothing, but there's hippos. I don't know what elephants you managed to saw. I even asked to join the elephant sighting on the radio. Everyone probably thought, what on earth am I talking about? Oh well. There are a few hippos. And the gang of Egyptian geese. It's amazing how they've all just arrived. Look, they've all got their little partners, very sweet couples. There's so many of them. There must be like 30 or 40 Egyptian geese here, like easily. They go behind the termite mound as well. You actually can't see all of them. Maybe they're queuing for something. I don't know. Oh my goodness. They're walking 2 by 2. There's another 2. What is going on here? Oh my goodness. Oh well. At least the hippos are sort of coming out of the water. Oh, I must tell you a very funny story about the saddle-billed stork. Shall we talk about the saddle-billed stork that's recently been at Chitwa Dam? Something scared that hippo in the water by the looks of it. Perhaps a crab. Who knows? That's obviously a male there. You can see why. Because it's much bigger than the females get. Anyway, so I want to tell you a story about the saddle-billed stork. And the story there is when Louise and I were at Chitwa, we were glancing over and we were like, oh, look, the saddle-billed stork, it's fishing, just like it's doing now. Then it stabbed into the water and pulled out a like monstrous catfish, and it like had to drag it. It had to ask the Egyptian geese to help drag it to the middle of the island. It was so big. I'm joking, it didn't do that, but it was big, and it took it some time. It even struggled a bit, and then the next minute, one of the fish eagles swooped on down, bopped, or actually just flew straight into the saddle-billed stork. I should be able to show you the end of the video, and yeah, stole its fish and then flew away. How rude. How rude. Actually, I might look for that video now while you look at that bird. Sorry, it might take me a few seconds of scrolling. It was really funny. We were all too late. We all tried to get it and we completely missed it. We were standing on the deck. Louise is now being very... Oh, no, it's not on this. It's on my computer. I've already taken the stuff off of this card. Sorry, everybody. It is on my computer. I shall try and share it with some of you at some point. Anyways, it was really quite cool to watch. That fish eagle was not taking no for an answer. I think it was enjoying the fact that that hippo dived on in, creating some nice big wake up there. But it didn't bring any fish in, unfortunately. Okay, well, let's carry on. Let's go see what else we can find. Hoping we were going to see it drag out another monster. There's so many fish in this dam. Too many. There's probably not too many. There's probably the right amount of fish. We're going to ask the Sabi Sand staff if they counted the fish in Chitwa Dam and if they could give us an estimate on how many aquatic species of animals they managed to count. Lulu, now I think the hippos are going to want to come to Chitwa Dam if there's a drought. So if anything, this water over here is just going to become infested with them. And eventually there'll be too many hippos for Chitwa Dam if we don't get any rain. If we get some rain, then Bubbles Hook Dam fills up quite quickly. Treehouse Dam will top up again, and the other dams and all the other properties. So we should be okay. Water buck coming down for their drink. A lot of youngsters there. You see there some of their horns sprouting through, and they're super fluffy. They're all very fat too. They're all in very, very good condition. I reckon that's due to because of mum's milk. Now somebody else who's also got a matching belly, you've seen it already. It's Tingana. I wonder what he's up to now.
Well, here he comes. There's a vehicle behind him. We've come all the way around to Treehouse Dam. There's 2 roads that lead from where he was to the dam. He started walking directly towards Treehouse Dam, and you just know that is the intention. He just got around the corner there a moment ago, and you could tell that he suddenly realized it was a bit hot. So we're a good 80 yards off. We're going to watch him walk all the way here. See how they like to use the road. It's much easier, much quieter. That's why we use the roads for tracking. It's one of the primary reasons why on a lot of vehicles you'll find the tracker sits on the front there. Most lodges you've been to, there's a tracker sitting on the front with a vehicle full of guests come through here to see Tingana in the flesh. Those are guests out of Vuyatela or Gallagher, I'm not sure, but both Djuma guests. Bob, most certainly, lion and leopard territories overlap. Lions have got much larger territories than leopards. I couldn't tell you how many leopard territories would fall within the territory of a lion pride, but many, like probably more than 5 or 6. It's really hard to really say. I mean, I would need to go and look at a map of the Sabi Sands and see the sightings data over the last 20 years or whatever and see exactly where the Nkuhuma pride moves, and then try and put the leopards within there. So females move within the male's territory. So you generally get about 3 females to a male. So if you get maybe 2 or 3 male territories overlapping within that of a lion pride, then bearing in mind there's another 3 females or so on average per male leopard. But that is just a sort of an average. It's not obviously set in stone. These animals do what they want to do, and those territory lines are also quite fluid. And just look at those feet as he walks. He's going to do scent marking. Oh no, he's not going to scent mark. He's going to do something else. I wonder what it is that he's going to do. He's not shy. Lots of people on the other vehicle with cameras. We're on a camera. And there it is. Nice on the zoom there, Senzi. Oh, I can't watch. I can't watch. Sensitive viewers. Senzo, if you wouldn't mind panning out from that close-up of... Senzo says he's working here. He knows some of you out there absolutely love it. I have a bit of a sensitive stomach when it comes to very fresh scat, and he's coming directly towards us. He's going to walk right past me. We've obviously moved off of the road. We are going to allow him to walk past us. We don't ever want to influence these animals by parking in their way. Hello. Here he's coming right now. Hello, boy. Just over my shoulder. Something very special about this. Something very, very special indeed. Beautiful male leopard. And he's clearly going to go off to the pan, to the dam, to drink. We're going to allow this vehicle to come past us. And we're going to turn around, go and position ourselves in a beautiful spot, of course, to get the drinking happening. Because I'm sure he is very, very thirsty. So let us turn around and let us not drive into that scat that has just very freshly been deposited in the road over there. So you can see that by the way he behaved. Leopards don't use their dung in any way, the scat in any way, for territorial marking. Not like hyena do. Jackal do a little bit. Civets, a lot of other animals will use their dung, or rhino will use their dung for territory, but leopards and lions, they let it go when the time is right. Okay, so the dam's just up here. Lou, I'm sorry, if you could repeat that question again for me, please. While we just wait to get up there. What is that? Petru, no, he is far from constipated. Indeed, and a lot of that is the fresh sort of blood of an animal that's been killed. That's why you often find around a kill site, when lions have a large kill and they spend a few days feeding on there, you'll often find the lions having very revolting poos like that, and the hooded vultures will land and will actually go and eat that very strong protein-rich scat, which I think is quite interesting. Sorry, Tex, I'm just going to squeeze past quickly here. Sorry, folks, I'm squeezed past. I'll come around on the other side. Thank you very much. Lou, VM was telling me the other day what he saw with, you also saw it, William was saying a wounded vulture went and pulled the tapeworm out of one of those lion scats. Ugh, really gets tummy in a twist. Really gets my tummy in a twist. Okay, so this is the time, and this is the opportunity to park. You want to go closer? Okay, we'll go a little bit closer to the watering hole. Tingana's just coming up on that side there. We're going to try and get a little bit closer down. Good chance he's going. How's that, Senzi? Okay, there's our spot. Now, obviously, he's ideally going to come straight down to where we positioned, because that is what we do. As a guide, before doing this position, the whole objective of your safari is to go out and to position your vehicle so that the guests can get a camera shot. It's not about me being able to see. That's why sometimes I can't really see what's going on, but it's not about me. It's about the viewers, you out there. We've got to position so that the camera can get the best shot. And that is one of the most important things a guide needs to remember, is can the guests see? Because bearing in mind where we're sitting, the guests are often 3-4 rows back. Well, not 4 rows back, there's only 3 rows on a vehicle, but they're quite a few rows back, and that could be a few meters behind you. And, well, you've got to position yourself in a way so that everybody can get the most out of their safari, because bearing in mind, the marketing thing we have is to get viewers or guests out into Africa with the selling product of the Big Five, because those of you who are not aware, the Big Five is the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt on foot, but it has been coined from an ecotourism point of view, and now what the Big Five really is the 5 of those animals to come and shoot with your camera. Senzi, should I move forward so you can get his face? Sorry, did you say no? I think you said no and I just did it anyway. Sorry, Senzo. So when you think the leopard is going to go to where you wanted him to go, he goes to the other spot. But that's okay. We got an even better view. A little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, there we go. Ah, kudu are alarm calling behind us there. I wonder if you can hear that. Wow. It's not very audible at the moment. But so the marketing value is to get you here to take pictures of the Big Five, which is very sustainable. I mean, how many people do you think in the last 12 years of this individual's life have taken photos of him to take home and put on their wall? Isn't that a magical thought? Many. So that's where the sustainability of ecotourism comes in. And once we get you here for the promise of the Big Five, then we show you the poo and the tracks and all the insects and all of that. David, Hukamuri wasn't far from here yesterday. Hosana had that kill maybe about 200 meters up the road behind us, the opposite direction from where he's come from. And that is the area, I believe, that Hukamuri encountered or interacted with Hosana. But I wasn't out, but I know where Hosana was, so I think it was very close to that area. Hey, Senz? Yeah, Senzo was out, he agrees. Well, here is one very thirsty cat. I wonder if those kudu are alarm calling for him, or if they've seen something else. Because they seem quite far off, don't they? Did you hear that one, Lou? It was much louder, that one. That very loud bark, that typical of the Tragelaphus family. Kudu being the loudest antelope. Obviously the design of that call is because of the habitat that they live in. Covered and surrounded by thick bush, you need to be able to explode out an alarm call that's going to go further than just a few meters. He's looking in that direction now. He's thinking, ooh, do I want some kudu as well this evening? He'll probably be satisfied just with his pork. Beautiful shot sends. It's interesting, if those kudu are alarm calling because of him, they are quite far away from where we are. So it's always something I like to make note of, is how far away was the squirrel when it saw the leopard, and how far away are the kudu when it saw the leopard, because that means that's the distance you need to search, the radius away from where that animal is. It's not necessarily always right under their nose. Impala, they're generally quite close. Nyala as well, also quite close. Okay, well, while we keep watching the Duke quenching his thirst, let's go over to Taylor McCurdy and see where she's at.
We're not up to very much. We are just driving. We did a little bit of the Mulati cruise. Very bright. Very hard to look into the sun this afternoon. So when Steve said he heard kudus alarming, I quickly switched off the car, but I couldn't hear anything, so they must be very far away from where I am. I'm gonna go along Mamba Road now. We're not actually looking for much at the moment. We're just passing time. We're driving, and if we see anything interesting, we'll probably stop and have a look at it until we get to Buffelshoek Dam. Then once we get to Buffelshoek Dam, I'm sure we'll have a 30-second glance at Scuba Steve, just to check that he's still there. And then after that, I'm hoping that the sun would have dropped down behind the horizon so that I could follow up on the Nkuhumas who we found in Buffelshoek this morning. But the buffalo have been at Gallagher Pan all afternoon. I don't know how many. I think they moved to Mvubu Road, according to Steve. So I'm hoping that the lions come back this way. Fingers crossed. That's the plan anyways. That's what I'd like to see, and I think it's a good plan for those lions to start walking back towards the buffalo, and then they can just catch one here on Juma. I mean, don't you think it sounds like a great idea? I think so. So yeah, so we pretty much just drive about until then. Maybe we bump into Thandi, but I'm not going to stress too much about Thandi, I'm afraid. That leopard is she doesn't like me very much. She just, well, and when I say she doesn't like me, it's just because she seems to avoid me at all costs. She likes Tristan, she likes James, I think. I don't know. We got good at finding her on foot at one point, and then that was about it. And then she'd occasionally pop up behind the vehicle. That happened once with Liam and I. And totally happened once. All right. Lots and lots of bumps. Okay, where's my turn off? Should be coming up on the left. Maybe still a little way away. I could be getting too excited. So I'm just going to check all the marula trees, because this is sort of Thandi's area. Thandi likes to climb trees. There's some leopards that seem to prefer climbing trees and others that don't. Thandi is one of them. Now, the theme of driving around is, of course, a common one. Scott is doing the same thing, and I know he's searching very hard for those lions and cheetah.
Happy hunting, T. We haven't had a huge amount of joy regarding the big cats, but we've been perusing through many a herd of wildebeest and zebra, and there's some magical golden light filtering through a bank of clouds in the west. I'm happy for now that we haven't got wet. There was a moment where I could actually smell the petrichor. I'm not too sure where the smell was being blown from. It must have obviously rained somewhere, and there was a few gloomy clouds lingering, but they seem to have blown off. So the area we're in now, we could possibly bump into old Kipuli, the dominant male that hangs around in this area, and obviously surroundings. But I've seen him and his partner the most in about a 1 mile radius of where we are here. He was about 2 miles away though, where he was interacting with that brute of a young male a few days ago with David and one of the Owino lioness. quite strange, her behavior. She was hanging out with the young stud who, his arm muscles, his front legs, they were ridiculous. So she kind of traded him in for Kapuli once. I think Kapuli managed to show the youngster who was boss, but then only mated for a few times and then just slunk off. So I'm guessing she's kind of just, you know, giving him a taste of what's out there, kind of trying to build their relationship. It was like a bit of a one-night stand. It wasn't a full-blown mating as far as I would guess. And it's not uncommon for lioness to do that when they come across new males. Give them what they want and then run off. So yeah, that's who we could possibly bump into here. I really do hope that before Friday I manage to track down those sausage tree cubs once more. But it's tricky business. Cal 6, you would like to know if there is a fire still burning in Tanzania. Well, you said that fire. There's multiple fires that burn every day. It's hard to keep track of which one's which, because often they're quite far away and we just see the smoke billowing up. I actually think there was a new one that seemed to have started maybe today. Not as far to the east as the ones I think I last showed you guys, or at least me personally. So yeah, there are still some fires burning down south. I can see where some of the rain is falling, and the wind is actually blowing from that rain towards us, so maybe that's what we could smell a bit earlier. Let me stop for a second, let James do his thing. It's the coolest thing, seeing rain falling in the distance. There, you can see it now. What I've also found incredible, being in such a vast, flat, open area where you can see for so many miles, is that you often see the rain coming, and it can pass like a kilometer from you. It's incredibly localized. And you often get multiple showers, and you can kind of be in the middle of all of them but not necessarily get any rain where you are. So that's something that I found quite interesting in my time here in the Mara. Definitely not as much rain during the kind of months of June, July, October, September. Last year there was kind of rain every second or third night, not necessarily where you were, but in the area. So definitely drier. But leading up to this, there was a huge amount of rain, the most rain in 60 years during the long rains prior to the migration arriving. Very good. Enough about the rain. You guys are going to be heading back to Steve and Tingana.
Thanks, Scotty. Hope you don't get too wet out there this afternoon. No doubt you are prepared for it. Tingana has finally stopped drinking. He was pretty much drinking this entire time to fill that belly up even more. Now he is doing the necessary grooming. A little bit of me time. Look at that belly. Nothing like a little bit of a lick on the chest. Had quite a bit of blood on him over there this morning from where the warthogs, sort of when the throat had been sort of punctured. A lot of that blood had come out onto his chest. Cats do get a lot of their thirst quenched from the blood, in fact, of carcasses. But it is a little bit salty, I suppose. They generally wait for the temperatures to reduce somewhat before making that long distance journey to the watering hole. Lying up in a little bit of shade. What a life. His food is sorted for the evening. He's just done a drink. Nothing else needs to be done. Ivy, male leopards are not known to share their kills with anybody, and I think his new girlfriend has moved off, and I don't think he would share with her. Basically what happens when the mating is going on is he's all consumed with that, and it's the sex drive, the mating drive, that is dominant in his mind. And eventually, once the pheromones of the female wear off or the mating dissipates, well, then all he can think about after that is food, and he would not share it with her. I don't know of a male leopard sharing a kill with a female, not very nicely anyway. They generally do dominate. I'm sure there's probably recordings of it here in Djuma. You do see all sorts of interesting behavior. I haven't seen Tingana myself personally sharing any food with anyone. He generally steals it from them. And they don't play very nicely, really, leopards, when it comes to feeding. Even with their youngsters, you start seeing Tundi with Tlalamba getting a little bit more sort of less tolerant of the youngster. And that's eventually, I suppose, what drives youngsters away from their parents. They need to go and catch food for themselves because the adults are done sharing it. I remember spending time with Tundi, and she would have the steenbok, and then she would move off and look away, and then Tlalamba would go feed. She couldn't even watch because she'd probably want to get involved. It's probably one of those things she knows about herself. Let me just not look. Let me move away and let the little one feed. That's what my mother's instinct is telling me. But his food is neatly cached up the tree. No chance of hyena moving in. Maybe he knows Hukumuri was near around, and maybe he wants to do something about that. Callum, you want to know if he often kills warthogs, adult warthogs? This was the first kill I've seen this year. I've only been with SafariLive since January. This is the first time I've physically seen him kill something. But Sense was telling me that he used to kill warthog all the time. Hey, Sense? Yeah. Well, he used to kill lots of warthog. And it's Hukumuri who this year seems to be the warthog specialist. But Brent sat at a warthog hole with Tingana for quite a few hours. I don't think he caught anything that time, but he definitely knows how to do it. As far as I'm aware, he's definitely killed quite a few in his time. That instinct to be able to sit above a termite mound and warthog burrow and wait. Probably the primary reason why warthogs go in their hole, but exactly the reason the male leopards stand on the outside and wait. So it was a big female, but I don't think it'd be tricky to see if he'd be able to manage a big male warthog, a big boar. Very, very powerful, and the tusks are very, very, very dangerous. It is a very risky business tackling an animal like that. You never know where you're going to get the sharp bits, and an injury by one of those individuals could lead to the demise of them. We never know. Never really knew what happened to Tingana, why he had that limp, what created it, what was the cause. Seems to have gone away now, seems to have walked it off again. Oh, shame, boy, the shadow has moved and you are now in the sun. No, leopards don't like water. I've seen leopards falling in water before, and they didn't like it very much. I've seen water running across a road after a bit of a rainfall, and I've seen leopards walk up to it and hiss. So leopards don't like water. I think jaguars have evolved in an environment that's invariably quite wet, and they tend to take to it like a duck to water. Lions in the Okavango Delta seem to have gotten over their fear of water just due to the fact that it's there. If leopards had to do more interaction with regards to the water, I'm sure that they would. I mean, Hosana went into the pan just last week, or was it the week before, after that baby Nyala got himself quite wet. It's all about a mental thing, about something that they want to achieve, but they won't necessarily go in there for any other reason. A lot of animals will actually escape predators by jumping into the water, as we've seen over the last month. James managed to get 2 impala, one trying to escape a crocodile. How it got there in the first place was likely wild dogs, and then the second one was definitely wild dogs. Both ended the same. with crocodiles pulling the young impala down under the water, and that was the end of that. So the water is not necessarily a safe place for these animals. There are predators on the banks and predators in the water. Not here at Treehouse Watering Hole though, that I'm aware of. But no, hippo, I've never seen a leopard deliberately bathing themselves in water to clean. They generally just use their saliva. And then when the rains come, well, they just grin and bear it. Oh, very good, Maria. I wasn't aware of that. Maria is telling us that Hosana played in the water when he was younger. Well, I suppose that doesn't surprise me. The little chief is just such a unique character, isn't he? So what the reasons for that were, quite unbeknown to me. Anybody out there know why was Hosana playing in the water? Were there terrapins to traumatize? Were there things to catch? Was he trying to play with food? So Louis confirming that he did hunt terrapins, so that's one of the reasons why he probably went in. But then she was also telling me that he'd sneak up on his sister. A very weird cat. We love him to bits. Tingana is the creation of him. He's the male gene anyway. I wonder if he knows how strange his son is that we love so much. But it just goes to show that Hosana is keeping within the Duke's sort of dukedom, because Hosana was here yesterday and his kill was not far away from here, so he's still within the boundaries. Still within the boundaries, and I think he will remain so until Hukumori makes a proper stand for it. Freeman, it really depends on the time of day. Leopards look like they're out of breath if they've been feeding all the time, due to the fact that their belly is so full. It pushes on the diaphragm and actually reduces the lung capacity, so their breathing is quite short. It's kind of as a response to the fact that they want to feed as much as possible and not lose the meat to something. If these individuals have got meat, they want to get it all inside, because you can't lose meat that is inside your... You can't lose meat that's inside your belly, but you can lose it if it's on the ground next to you. So wild dog, hyena, leopard, lion will all gorge as much food as they possibly can in a very short space of time, almost like my dad used to do, who went to boarding school. Most people who went to boarding school probably can relate. You eat as quickly as you can so you can try and get seconds. It's kind of the same sort of idea, except the degree of the meat that goes in is enormous. Many kilograms into the belly of an animal, and so that just influences sort of where the lungs would normally be able to move to. And then they're also quite hot sometimes. They are covered in fur, Freeman. Imagine having your body covered in fur in areas that get up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit in the 45-degree region. So there we go, that's about that. So they do cool down with wind blowing across their bellies, because there's a lot of heat there from the digestion taking place, and then at the base of their feet also a lot of heat is lost at the paws of the feet. And we don't really know if there's any heat lost through panting, but there must be a degree of it due to the fact that there's moisture lost over the nose and the mouth. But you see that belly, it can only push out so much. It's pushing up the rest of the way, and so that is just affecting the breathing. Lions do the same thing. And it's possible that the high rate of breathing is also due to the enormous amounts of digestion that is taking place. Enormous protein diet. And imagine eating 12-15 pounds of meat. Can you imagine? There's nothing much you'd be able to do. You just lie there and try and breathe. Well, I think he's going to just chill here for a little while he catches his breath. Maybe drink again before going back to the scene of the crime. And once again we find ourselves alone with the Duke. Okay, well, we are at Treehouse Watering Hole, and I believe Taylor has made herself back on to Juma. She's up in the north at Buffelshoek.
You're allowed to look at these hippo for 30 seconds, starting now. And then we will not be looking at these hippos anymore, unfortunately. Goodness, the amount of times we see them pretty much every single game drive. This is a hippo that has been dubbed Scuba Steve, and his mistress, who comes and visits every now and then. It's almost like every 2 weeks she pops on past. She does not like to stay with Scuba Steve. Perhaps she has another dam or a pond somewhere else with a lot more water. Anyways, you know, can't judge them. And then there, your 30 seconds is up. Then there's a 3-banded plover just off to the right. It's actually in the nice light, which is very cool. It was having a bath just now. It was plunging its body into the water, and now it is drying off and giving its feathers a good preen. It's awesome how clean birds are constantly. They take a lot of time every single day to manicure their feathers. What have you seen? Film's done at the dam, apparently. Are we leaving now? Right, we shall carry on then. Off we go. I don't know where we're going to go now. We're just going to drive around the boundary. I did hear some go-away birds squawking at something, but I might have just been a go-away bird being a go-away bird, really. Okay, I don't know what Steve's plan is, if he's going to go back to Hosanna. I'm not really planning on going to Hosanna. I want to try see if we can't maybe find a lion or two, and hopefully our plan kind of works. And the wind has picked up, and we know for some, well, not for some reason, but the Nguma seem to get up as the wind starts to blow. I think they know how well they can use it in their favor, and I think it's really important at this time of the year when there's lots of dead leaves on the ground and you're trying to be really quiet. Even when you're just stepping on the grass, it kind of crunches underneath your shoes. So one false move from a lion or a leopard. Can you imagine hunting in a drainage line and standing on a pile of tamboti leaves, which it's inevitable. You can only stand on the leaves. That'll really give away their presence fairly quickly. Along the boundary we go. I suppose it's good to check. The last time it was checked was this morning, and many things could have happened during the day. Off we go to Scott. He doesn't seem to be having too much luck in terms of finding the big cats.
Welcome back, everybody. I think we are possibly about to have a very, very magical scene. There's a herd of elephants. There's a beautiful orange glow, and the sun's about to dip below a bank of clouds, and that should wash through onto these elephants. But again, I'm not sure if James's camera, which has got the flu, is going to be able to manage. We'll see. If it's a disaster, we've got a good excuse. If not, well, then we can expect some serious beauty. So stand by. Nearly there. Hope this works. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 14 to 15, 16 elephants. Decent herd. Just need to get in front of them. I'm going to go back there, a bit too far spread out, so I'm going to pick an individual. Looks like a mother with 2 youngsters. This should be pretty epic, I'm guessing. Oof, it looks like the camera is not handling. Sorry. There we go. Very, very beautiful. Sadly tricky for James, but he's making it work. There we go, that's better. How awesome is that? And the wildebeest in the background. Absolutely awesome. Basically, I think the major problem is that he's facing is that there's certain filters that you can use, but the filters aren't working. Wonderful. The wind's also literally just stopped. I know I lie, it's just because we parked with the kind of back of the car against the wind, and there's a big canvas flap on the back of the car, not fully open like the Juma vehicles. I'm told a lot of you are blown away by the beauty unfolding in front of you, and this certainly is one of the most spectacular places you could ever wish to come on safari and or film or photograph wild animals. Magical, magical scenes filled with lots of the African stars of the wilderness. Wonderful. Now it's getting to that stage of the evening where maybe we'll hear some lions singing. That would be nice. It's one of the most effective ways of finding animals out here. The other night when we did catch up, we stayed out till midnight. We caught up with the Sausage Tree Pride. It was their audio that helped us locate them. So stopping and listening pays dividends as opposed to just driving around wildly, hoping you're going to bump into something, because you can hear for a very long distance. So all different shapes and sizes in this herd. I want to throw James under the bus once more and just go for gold with the initial female and the sunset, because she is in the perfect spot now. She's kind of a little bit of dust getting kicked up. Try and frame just her and James and see if that doesn't help and not the sun. So if you just go tight on her and just get that wash. Beautiful. Lulu, you're asking what I'm going to miss the most about the Mara? Whew. That's a tricky, tricky question. I mean, there's just so much that this place has to offer, as we've just been discussing, the beautiful vistas. Cheetah probably, you know, for me, because it's the one place where I've spent the most time with cheetah in my career as a guide, so probably the cheetah. It's not to say there's not other parts of Africa and even South Africa that are incredible for cheetah viewing. But for me personally, this is the one place where I've seen the most of them. Thanks, James. That was magic. Yeah, and the fact that we've just got so much space to explore here. You know, we've got an incredibly large area of traverse, which has got lots of diversity in terms of the scenery. I'll see all the multiple prides of lion that we stumble upon. Our camp is situated in such a magic spot, right up on the Olololo escarpment. So the camp's really special as well, where we stay. This is great. They seem to have changed direction and are coming straight towards us. Hopefully some of these youngsters come and show us how big and strong they are. Always wonderful when they do that. It's actually been quite a while since I've been put in my place by a young elephant, so maybe tonight I'll get taught a lesson again. Look at these three. This surely must mean trouble. The three of them teamed up together coming. Well, they kind of, it looks like they're heading straight towards us, but it looks like, well, they've got a slightly older cousin just off to the side of them. That's probably giving them a bit of confidence. What a magical scene. And I think Big Mama's about to join into the fray as well. Laura Moore, you asking what I can hear out here at the moment. It's very, very quiet. I just did hear a bird squawking. I'm actually not too sure what kind of a bird it is. I don't think you would have heard it, but it's, other than that little funny noise, it's been absolutely dead quiet. Incredibly still. Well done to all of you who not only snapped off some beautiful screenshots of the Ellie, but also sent them through and shared them with everyone. So that's wonderful of you guys to get involved, and I guess a good lesson to all of you who don't know how to take a screenshot just yet. It's a good way to get involved and a fun thing to do whilst on safari with us. Francis, you'd like to know at what age will the young Ellies start to grow their tusks? Well, that one we're looking at there on the left with the small tusks, I would guess is about 4 years old. Oh, it looks like we might get put in our place by this youngster. It kind of had its ears out, walking up towards us, chewing on its trunk awkwardly. Keep coming. But yeah, I mean, they'll be growing now. They're in their mouth. It's just that we can't see them. And they've interestingly got two sets of tusks, one of which falls out when they're around 6 months of age. We never see those. And then their next set of incisors start growing through. And they'll grow, yeah, as soon as the first pair falls out, the second pair will start growing. And I guess anywhere from about 1.5 years of age to 2 years, we'll probably start seeing them, depending on the individual. Just like us as humans, you know, it depends on the individual kid. Most of these youngsters we're looking at here, I'm guessing, are about 1 year old. So yeah, around 2 years I think we'll start seeing them, would be my guess, as an average age. What's this one doing? It's got a little stick in its trunk there. What are you doing with that? That's not where your mouth is. Oh, there we go. What was it thinking, holding it above its head like that? Oh, another two. Can't make up its mind. It really seems like these three youngsters are best pals. Absolutely epic. Well, that was a magical scene. We're going to keep moving though and send you back to Steve, who's still with Tingana.
Yes, we are. Thank you. The Mara with elephants is really quite something spectacular to see, with those large animals in those wide expanses, and there's nothing cooler, I suppose, than a young elephant playing with a stick. Well, Tingana had another drink. Well, I anticipated he might do. He moved to another spot where it wasn't as muddy, but still as green and as gross looking as the rest of this little remnants of this pan. And now he's moved off very slightly, come down and have a look how green the water is, Sens. That's what he has to drink. You can't really see it on the camera, can you? Let's see. It's very green. That is the pickings that the animals have. Very tasty. It's a reason why a lot of animals choose to drink from fresh water. Elephants will often dig in the sand to get sand filtered water. Elephants will also preferably go to watering holes that are actually pumped. One of the things that happens a lot in the Lowveld, due to the fact that there have been fences put up all over the place, you need to provide water for the animals that are inside, and sometimes the water that is provided through the creation of dams does not last the entirety of the dry season. And water is the currency of life, and no animal can survive entirely without it that I'm aware of right now. You have to be highly, highly specialized to survive without drinking water. And I think what's going on in his head now is he's contemplating the long march back. I don't think he's hungry enough, and that's what's going to be the driving force behind it. It's going to start getting cool enough. He's going to start weighing up his options to think, well, someone might steal that if I don't go back soon. Indeed, if he's not careful, his son Hosanna might be there already. I think Tada's on her way there now to see Hosanna. I don't think he'll come all the way down here. Hello, Rachel. Well, I believe he enjoys warthogs. This morning's the first time, I've said already, that I saw him kill anything. Of late, he's been pretty much, from what I've witnessed, he was stealing food from Hosanna and he was stealing food from Tandi. So his favorite food is food caught by others. But he showed us this morning that he is still got what it takes, and he is often probably secreted away kills that we don't even know about. So I don't know. I don't know if he's got a favorite. I really don't know. Maybe Lou, you've been around much longer than I have. What are the sort of the primary kills you've seen over the years with Hosanna? What about you, Sens? You've seen him with some? So Louise is agreeing that he enjoys to steal kills. He's had aardvark before. He's had lots of impala. He's had one kill that we know of stolen by Hukumuri when he wasn't doing so well. He killed a bushbuck around Vuetela. And I remember him stealing a deka from Tandi. Scott got some amazing footage of him eating the deka when we used Ronald. Ronald de Rover went in and got him really close up. Viewing him crunching down on a deka was very, very cool to see. Okay, there we go. The decision is being made. He's going to get up now. He's been umming and ahhing the fact that, okay, it's starting to get cool. Someone might find my kill. I would rather be close by, even if I'm not hungry. Always funny watching the decisions being made. He's now going to walk right past in front of us once again, and most likely use the exact same route back. There he is. And here we are. Good afternoon. Okay, so I'll show you where we are. Was that Sharon? Sharon asked how far away. We are here, Treehouse. His kill is just over there on the D of Treehouse Dam, and then Hosanna we left over here. So how far? That's probably about 2 kilometers, so about a mile. Not very far. And Hosanna was in this area yesterday. Okay, well, what have you spotted there, Tingana? He's always the opportunist. Moving slowly. He's probably going to do a little bit of territorial marking on his way back. Let us see. And I have a strong feeling, I don't know why I'm thinking it, but he's probably going to sniff his own poo. You know, animals like to do that. It's all about smell in the animal kingdom. I probably won't watch when he does it, if he does it. Let's just come out of here. So we are in the dam itself, and this will fill up once the rains come. Oh, he's having another one. Uh-oh. It would definitely be a good Brooklax advert, Lou, or possibly Imodium that would curb the diarrhea. Okay, well, he's going to go through that beautiful little game path. Going to get around onto the other side of the path that he's going to walk across, and we'll be able to just get in front of him. We will not get in his way, though. Let him do his thing. He's walking east, away from the sunset. Mike, there's always this thing inside our tummy, you know, when a big cat comes near your car, even though, you know, you've got a strong feeling that he's not going to do anything. There's something about it, you know. He doesn't even look at us, you know. I've had Hukamuri come very, very close to me, and he stood right next to me by the door, and he gave that little, I don't know, if you haven't seen Hukamuri before, folks, you should maybe go back on some episodes, but he's got this look that all of us here have agreed. It gives you this little bit of creep inside your tummy. He's just got that very wild look to him. Tingana doesn't have that look. He's seen us for years. He knows the vehicles. He knows the people. See, he's just going to walk straight in front of us. He's going to not even give a cursory look at the car. There's me again. See, we're right here in the action, 100% live. That one was just for Brent. He loves to say 100%. There he goes. Just over my shoulder. There he is. I'm holding him in the palm of my hand. There we go. Beautiful feet. Look at the size of those front paws. Now, he's looking off to the right here. When we were waiting for him before, there was a grey daker that was sort of mishing around, and they don't go very far. Maybe a chance he might spot something along the way. There, can you see he's walking at a medium pace, and look at how his back foot just goes over where the front foot was sitting. So if we look at those tracks on the ground, there'll be just about a few centimeters or so between where the front track was and where the back track was. Maybe even they might even slightly be touching due to the fact that he's walking at a very slow pace. He's not on a territorial mission. He's achieved what he wanted to achieve. He's heading back to where he's got some food. There's no real rush. He'll get there soon, and we will follow him there. There's a good chance, though, after he's had a nice drink, as he just turns around the corner, there's a good chance after he has a nice drink that once he gets back, he might go straight up. Might not even feed, just to go up, just to investigate and smell, and then that whole action of going up encourages them sometimes to have another little feed. Off we go. Just got to be careful we don't drive into the landmine that is along the road. That would not be pleasant. That will sit with us for the rest of the afternoon. Okay. I'm just going to pull over here and be able to see his tracks. Review it there, Sanzi. Okay, this one here, that one there. You can see that his front foot is this one here, and his back foot's just on top of it. So his back foot's actually sitting on top of the front toes. So that's a very good indication of the speed he's walking. You can, when you looked at him walking, he's just loping along. There's no real speed in his movements right now. He's just walking. You can see him there. He's just loping. There's no real movement. But when you do sometimes find a leopard moving on a territorial display or route, they move quite quickly, and where they place that back foot is much further in front of where the front foot sits. And often when you are tracking an animal, so for example, if we found these tracks now from Moortringhal, they're walking very slowly, you know that he's not moving quickly, probably a good chance of finding him. But if you found a male, oh, there's a bug on the screen, hello insect, if you find the tracks are far apart, there's a good chance he's missioned and it's going to be very far away, so probably don't walk, drive. Okay, well, we're going to go over to him and see if he goes up indeed to see the kill. And while we do that, let's go back up to Scotty D, who is still looking at the sun.
Beautiful, beautiful scenes once again. Thank you, Masai Mara, and thank you all the different clouds that are contributing to the wonderful canvas that you're looking at. I'm hoping that you guys are going to get to see old Tingana make his way up the tree to his kill in a short while, so that's something to really look forward to. Wonderful. So we're quite close to where old Kupuli was last seen, and he was with the one Awino lioness, so with a little bit of luck we'll bump into either of them on the way home. I don't know actually when last we saw the Awinos. We parked on a funny angle here so that the roof wouldn't get in the way of the clouds. Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen them, and with all the shifts and dynamics and these two young males, one of which is a brute and the other one seems to have recently lost half of his tail, they could have caused some disruptions with the pride, sending them scattering, but that's just a guess. They are also getting pressure from the Olololo pride, which seems to be pushing further south than they ordinarily would, or that we've ordinarily seen them do. So it's going to be an interesting few months here in the Mara with regards to the lions. Well, I guess it's always interesting, really. Lara Moore, you'd like to know what has been my favorite sighting this year. The Awino pride, when they caught, there's so many, but the one that pops to mind now today is when we were out with the Awino pride, they managed to catch the zebra. We didn't see the initial takedown, but it rushed into the area, and almost the whole pride was on that poor zebra, and it miraculously managed to break free. They then managed to tackle it down again, and then within a minute, I was using the little thermal imaging camera, which is mounted on this little kind of monopod thingy here, and it's got a very wide angle view that you can't zoom in on, and obviously you only just see little white dots as the heat signatures. And I just saw these little white dots bouncing up and down, and there was the telltale sign of hyenas, how they run, and I knew these hyenas were coming in, and about 30 hyena came in, and the audio of those hyenas as they gained momentum and kind of bravery and courage to overthrow the Awino pride was absolutely insane. And then obviously all the growling from lions. That was an incredibly intense, epic scene that doesn't happen very often, at least that I haven't seen very often. So that probably for me was one of the highlights. I did see a massive, massive pangolin the other night, and it's the second time I've ever seen a pangolin in my life. And it was huge. My phone is playing up, although for the last few hours it's been working. Let me see if I can... Oh, here we go. Here's some pickies. You're not going to believe how big this thing is. Take a look at the size of this brute. How cool is that? A ginormous pangolin. And like I said, only the second time I've seen one in my life. They're the most bizarre creatures. And this was in a little valley just by camp. As we were coming back from our night out, we were like 2 minutes from camp. This thing walked across the road, and we hopped out and went and had a closer look at it. Let's see if there's any other pics. There's a little close-up one of it. How crazy is that creature? And it was super chilled. I mean, we were right there. I even at one stage touched it and didn't even roll up into a ball. How crazy? Obviously, the texture of those scales and plates is also quite interesting. So that was cool. Very good. We are going to keep moving and send you back to Taylor with a hyena.
We do. We've got one hyena that's just had a drink at Galagopan. Now, that's not why we're actually here. That Hosana was on his way towards Galagopan, but something seems to have caught his attention because he has not arrived just yet. And I did have a quick squiz in the drainage line, but I can't see him. But you can hear the odd squirrel and the odd go-away bird complaining that they're unhappy about something. So it would only make sense that it is probably Hosana. Now, I don't know who this hyena is. Hello, hyena. Looking a bit on the thin side. Normally they've got bellies dragging down on the floor. Perhaps it'll find something a little bit later. The buffalo are nearby. No sign of the no sign of the lions just yet. But we'll go and check there in a little bit. I was really hoping we were just going to, while we were coming this way to relocate on the buffalo, that we could just have a quick look at Hosana. But no. I don't know what to do now. Whoever is zooming today, could you perhaps have a look around the dam for me, around Voyatelapan? Just because the birds seem to be making a bit more noise further and further away from us. I need to take my earpiece out. I also hear the odd squirrel. But no, I can't hear anything now. My earpiece back in. You go completely deaf with your earpiece in your ear. You can't hear any. I can never hear anything out of my right ear. There's a little starling, just up on a stick. Probably won't hang around for too much longer before it goes off and finds a perch, or maybe it'll have a drink of water or try and find a snack. One last one before the sun goes down. I keep hearing some interesting noises, but we are right at Galago camp, so there's a possibility that it might just be the staff preparing the fires, maybe dragging logs and things around. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what those weird sounds are. Okay, well, Lex is waiting here at the pan, so I'm sure he'll tell us when Hosana comes on by. We'll just drive through here slowly. Viam said he'd actually seen some Inyala just off in here. Maybe that's why Hosana has got distracted. See if I can see them. No, they've moved off. They are elsewhere. I don't know, they're always moving around though, nibbling on leaves and things like that. Okie dokie, Steve has had his patience pants on the entire afternoon. I'm very impressed. He's now waiting for Tingana to arrive back at his kill.
Yes, we have put ourselves in an interesting position. And now we're just going around. He is laying up on the other side where we position ourselves. So let me just reposition. Give us 1 second. We've just got the back of him here. Quite a precarious little spot. Just the branches are very, very thorny. And I've already poked Senzo with one of them. So I need to be very careful because no one likes to be poked by a very pokey, thorny stick. Well, some people do, but neither Senzo or I do. Okay, well, that is where we're going to get to. And that is the view for now. How's that, Sense? Okay, he is in exactly the same position he was this morning when he made the kill, or when he waited for the kill. Excuse me. I don't know if he's in anticipation for another pig to come out. He actually might have been a few inches further forward there. Heard some hyena calling just before we got back into the sighting. Starting out for the evening, it definitely pricked his ears up. He's looking in the direction that they were calling from. It's amazing how quickly hyena can actually pick up on the smell of a carcass. And here the crested francolins shouting their evening chorus. That was a duet, in fact. Senz, you want me to just go break that branch out of the way there in front of his face? Senzo would like me to go break the branch. I'm not going to. We'll just leave it where it is. It's the way it is, folks. It's, I think, why they invented Photoshop. Jojo reckons he's going to get the squirrel this time. Well, I haven't seen the squirrel again. I think the squirrel realized after the squeals and shouts earlier that it's best to move off and go and look for food elsewhere. We haven't seen him or heard him since we've been back this afternoon, so I think it was in his best interests. He's been watching a fully grown male leopard kill and eat a warthog, so, well, there's better places to be, most certainly. Because if it's able to take an animal of that size, well, then a squirrel really is no match. Although they do have the ability to climb up the trees, but leopards do have that ability as well. Very agile in the tree when they need to be. Masters in the aerial pursuit. Just the fading light now from the west, filtering in through here. See, he's got that same look again there. That's the look he had in the warthogs earlier, but I don't think a warthog would come out of the burrow now. This is generally the time they start heading back. So if warthogs were out, I think this is a no-go zone for them. They might find another place for the night. He's doing his best Hukumuri impression at the moment. Oh, Laura Moore, the warthog in the tree looked like there was still a substantial amount of it left, but then we weren't able to see the underside. Well, pretty much it was quite rounded on the branch, so it almost like the inside, or the bottom side of it is pretty much gone. And looking by the size of his belly, I'd say he's probably consumed about a third of it, but it was quite hard to see. It's wrapped around the branch. It doesn't have the rigidity of a fully grown warthog, so it's definitely lost a fair amount of its meat, but I couldn't tell you exactly how much. If he climbs up there to feed again and he moves it, well, we might get a better look at what has been opened up. But the top side is all pretty much still intact. We saw the one leg was completely gone, and I'm not sure about how much of the innards or the tummy has been consumed. But he didn't look full when we found him this morning. He looked very hungry. So he could easily get 15, 16 pounds in there in a sitting, which is probably what he did. We were following him back here, and he had quite a nice waddle with his belly. Kaj, I think sometimes the animals would like to be sick, but they do everything in their power to keep the food down. And that's the reason why, well, that's where evolution has sent them. Enormous bellies with high digestive ability. But I've never seen a cat ingest so much that they've actually been ill afterwards. You see wild dogs bringing meat back to the puppies, but that is kind of what they do. Very similar to what birds do. They bring food back to the nest. Easiest way to carry. They don't have hands or pockets or bags like we do. Well, it seems like Taylor's had some luck with the little chief. Let's go and have a look what he's up to.
Well, that's not all that's about to happen. We're just watching some Inyala. It's a female with, there's two youngsters here, coming down towards the water's edge. Now, Hosana, it's going to be a bit of a gamble here for him. I don't know where he's gone now, but look at that big open gap. Look at all that. Oh, there he is. So he's watching. He's watching very carefully. Now, he's very inexperienced, this leopard, as most of you know. He's still quite young. There's a huge open gap that he's going to have to pass before he can even think of trying to catch one of them. He's a good 40 meters or so away. Look at him. He's too impatient. He's far too impatient. If he goes out now, he's going to ruin the whole thing. This is very cool, though. Good afternoon, everybody. Look at this incredible scene we've come across. We've got Inyala, which is a type of antelope species, and a leopard in the distance. Now, I'm not even going to bother with introducing myself. Those Inyala have just heard a pride of lions roaring in the distance. That's what they're nervous about. They have no idea that that leopard is there. They had no idea. They say, here comes a hyena, though. Just to the left of him is a hyena. Now, we are live in the Sabi Sand. We're currently on Djuma Private Game Reserve, watching all of this awesome wildlife. Look how he's gone flat. He's not particularly impressed, and he doesn't want the hyena to know that he's there, because the hyenas follow him around all the time. The one day he was followed by about 3 or 4 hyenas. They just wouldn't give him a rest, and he was desperately trying to hunt something, but they wouldn't allow for that to happen. I think this hyena's going to go and have a drink. Now, this is not a natural dam. This is a man-made dam. You can see that there is cement surrounding it, and it is a pumped pan. And of course, not only is this hyena going to go for a drink, it seems as though a swim is fitting after a hot afternoon in South Africa. And there we go. You can also see it's turned into flavoured water now. So this is why, even though it is a natural pan and we pump water into it, if you were stuck out in the wild, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to wander on over and, well, stick your face into it. As refreshing as what it is, you can only imagine what this water is actually filled with. Hyena urine, the buffaloes were here all day long too. There's been a lot of action happening at this pan. And now he's kind of just watching. And both of these animals get particularly active at this time. They have the best chances of finding food. They have the upper hand of antelope species. They can't see as well. Carl, yeah, it is nature at its best. It really is. And if you'd like to ask a question, just as Carl has, just all you have to do is really just comment below and ask us anything, because this is a live safari. It's happening right now. You can see how the light is starting to fade. It's set behind the Drakensberg Mountains a little while ago, and now we're just in that last light. But everything seems to have disappeared from around the pan. The hyena is now also moved off, which I'm sure this young male leopard, Hosana, is happy about. That's a very, very good sighting. Fantastic. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed that. Short but sweet, as it typically is here in the Sabi Sand, and, well, I suppose when you come on a safari. Anyways, if you'd like to continue watching us, we'd love it. All you have to do is Google SafariLive. probably the best way. You can find us on YouTube and then watch us twice a day, every single day for more adventures. But for myself and VM, it's been great, and we'll see you all soon. Did you hear the, sorry, I had to do an action broadcast on Facebook. Did you hear the lions? Yeah. That's good news. I was hoping that they're going to come back for these buffalo. It's been very quiet. Oh, what a pity. If only they knew.
Well, whatever happened there, I'm sorry about it. Some communication error on the other side. Well, here we have Tingana who... Oh, there we go. That's what he thinks about it. He is now flat. Still too full. He hasn't gone up and checked or investigated the food. He can see it quite clearly from his position. So he feels quite happy that it is still there. No one has stolen it. No hyena have entered the scene just yet. But that is indication of his week. He needs a little bit of time off. He's been quite a busy boy with this new female. Senzo's hoping that he will have a few boys. Sammy Janey is indeed in a pork coma after a few days on a mating exercise with a beautiful young lady. He has now caught himself a warthog, and well, that's exactly what he needed to do. He's had his drink. He's probably going to go through a few bouts of eating this evening, but other than that, I think his schedule is pretty clear. What do you think, Sens? Pretty clear, huh? Not much to do apart from a bit of grooming, a few more toilet breaks, some ablutions, another drink possibly tomorrow. But other than that, I think it's going to be quite a chilled night for the Duke. Beautiful Tuesday in the Lowveld, and we are here with him. Fantastic. Taylor was able to find Hosanna again, and Little Chief never stops hunting, does he? He's always looking for a snack. Fantastic to see. No, Ryan, we have no idea. I haven't heard anything new about who this female was. No idea. I mean, I didn't even get a proper look at her. She didn't get too close to camera. She was quite sort of shy of the car. So, no, I haven't even been in the sighting with the vehicle. We did find them on foot very briefly, but they didn't stick around. So I haven't actually physically seen her apart from a small clip, but I wasn't able to identify. Even some of our long-standing viewers who know all our leopards were not able to identify. I wonder, there must be something in the archives, in a sense. Must be something in the archives about whoever she might be. But he is still very, very flat. I don't think he's going to be getting up to too much. There he is. We're just hoping that we might get him towards the end of the show, going up the tree to enjoy a little bit more of his meal, but I don't think he's in any rush. But it does amaze me sometimes how full a cat can look and still go up and feed. It's kind of like that mindset of you need to get it all in before you lose it, and Hosanna knows that very, very well. He's lost a lot of kills over the last few months that we've seen, so we don't know how many he's lost that we haven't even seen. So he knows that it's important to feed as much as you possibly can. Whenever there's a small gap in the belly, he will fill it with a bit more meat. Tingana, I don't know if he's got the same mentality. Hello, Willow, 4 years old. Do you want to know if this daddy leopard would go to see his son at the other watering hole? Well, they often do meet up. It's just a crested Franklin shouting there. Willow, I'm sorry that it's interrupting my conversation with you. But we've seen Tingana interacting with Wasana. It's magnificent to see. But he's not deliberately going to say hello. He's just investigating and tolerating his son, and maybe every now and again going to see whether his son has maybe made a kill. It's the easiest form of feeding for Tingana, is just to go and see what the family has provided before doing exactly what he needed to do this morning. But we're going to go over to the IR spectrum in a moment, Louise, if you will. Okay, so in 3, 2, Senzo jumped the gun. I was going to do my magic trick there and count down to 3, and Senzo jumped the gun. Senzo, you know I like to count that down, hey? Well, Senzo's going on leave tomorrow. He's very excited. And I'm heading to Johannesburg and then catching the midnight flight up to the Masai Mara, where I will be catching up with Scotty D in person. It's been way too long since I've seen him, and it seems like he has found a very rare and unseen animal.
How beautiful is this cat? And we're in luck, because it seems quite relaxed with the vehicle. They're not always relaxed with vehicles, understandably, because people don't spend huge amounts of time with them. Therefore, habituating them can be tricky. But this one is carrying on as if we are not even here. And watch how it uses those massive satellite dish-like ears to try and detect prey. If we get lucky, we'll see it trying to pounce on a rodent. Don't disappear. Now it may pop up. It seems like it just went into a little bit of a dip there. But it could well pop back into a spot where we can see it. They often try and creep up to their prey and then pounce high into the air and down upon their prey. They can also try and snatch birds out of small bushes. Once with Manu we had an epic sighting. It didn't get the bird, we just saw feathers flying. Sadly, I think it's disappeared into a little bit of a gap there, but we did get such a great view of it. And LV, you've just said that cat is adorable. They certainly are. They are beautiful, beautiful cats. I'd love to see a little serval kitten. That I've never been lucky enough to see. Well, what a bonus. Interestingly, it's actually been a while. Let's actually also take a stop and look at the moon rising up over the clouds. It's not quite full. It was full yesterday. Ah, Lulu, that's your first ever serval. Well, I'm glad we've got serval on the record books for you, because they are magical, magical cats that we don't see too often. Interestingly, though, here in the Mara we have been lucky, but me personally, I can't remember when last I saw one. Yet I went through a stage where I used to see them quite regularly. This is the first one in weeks, possibly months. Beautiful. Now, I don't know if it would be possible for us to switch over into color midway through things here, because it would be more impressive than using the IR. There we go. I don't know what implications that has on old Louise, who's directing the show in FC. She's going to switch it across on her side now as well. There's a lot of complicated things that go on in order to get these pictures to you. Are we in color, James?
Yes.
Ah. Wonderful stuff. Okie dokes. Louise just said the viewers are over the moon. Ha! Well done, Louise. Alrighty. Let's keep on keeping on. Make sure the serval hasn't popped into a spot where we can see it. It seems to have slunk off into the long grass. Alrighty, we're going to send you back to Steve with Tingana.
Well, he is flat, and the IR is not doing him any justice. He's looking very, very full. I don't think he's going to be going anywhere, so I'll give him another minute, and we might move off, see if we can find anything else in the darkness. What a great day it has been. It has been a really, really awesome afternoon. Well, first of all, finding him this morning and now finding him again, doing his thing, moving around. I don't think we're going to get any better visual than what we had to get to where the kill is as well. It's a little bit of a scratchy little bumpy ride over there, but it is doable if he gets up and moves. What do you think, Sens? He's not going anywhere, is he? Well, let's give him one more look and then we might be moving out. One more go. Beautiful, sleepy Tingana. Kareem, you want to know how long a leopard sleeps for? Well, they can sleep most of the day, really. It all depends on the activity. If they've got a kill, they'll feed on that for short periods of time and then just nap. So if they're on a territorial sort of routine, they can cover quite a lot of distance in a few hours, but invariably they sleep for most of the daylight hours. But a lion, a leopard, on a normal day can sleep up to about 20 odd hours, really. So they don't really do too much. When they do move, though, they can cover some distance. And sometimes they might sleep a little bit less. It really all depends on the day and the activity and whether they have food or not. Well, I'm going to make the call. I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. We're going to move out, see what else we might find moving around through the darkness in Djuma. Yes, very good. Thank you, Tingana, for your wonderful day with us. We're going to be heading back out here. And it amazes me sometimes that we can spend this together. Just myself and Senzo enjoying ourselves out here. Very quiet, beautiful evening. Well, seems like Taylor has left Hosanna and she's on the search for the bigger cats.
Well, you may have heard we'd heard lions as we started that broadcast, which was pretty cool. I don't think it was loud enough that you could hear from the mic, but anyways, and they're calling again. I've just been sitting waiting to hear them call properly, but they're kind of doing these soft sort of moans now to try and get an idea of where they're going to pop out. Sounds like they've turned slightly more east, but we'll see, because they're not particularly, well, they're still a distance from the boundary. I mean, I don't think we'll be able to see them just yet. There's quite a few of impala walking around. They don't seem to be too concerned by the roars of the lions. It was quite funny how those Inyala reacted, though. They weren't too impressed. They heard that. They didn't even know Hosanna was there. It was their lucky day. Lucky, lucky day. But that was an awesome sighting. I think my favorite part, though, was when the hyena came through and Hosanna just sat really still trying to hide away. He doesn't like them. I don't blame him, though. They must annoy him to death. And he's trying to look for food. So the buffalo are kind of behind us. They're down here. on Juma. On this side is Buffelshoek, basically across the road. Now, if they're sort of heading southish, I'm thinking these lions are probably going to cross maybe around here, but they could change direction, turn back, go west again. But I haven't got my game drive radio on listening. I'm going to stop and listen again. Let's go back, sorry. The moon is just about to rise, and I know you were watching it with Scott. We'll have a very, very quick look. Now we're going to, of course, sit now in infrared and listen very carefully as to where the Nkuhuma Pride is off to. Scott, however, has found his cats.
Well, everyone, there is a lion, would you believe it? All you can see is its tail. I was trying to reverse to catch us up with another one that just walked past the vehicle. But I'm guessing this one's going to follow suit, although it seems to have heard something down there. It's on a bridge at the moment, looking down into a small stream. And I'm not too sure which lions these are, but I think there could be a few youngsters from the Olololo Pride. The one that's already walked past the vehicle looked like a youngster, and this one also does. We haven't had the best view just yet. Yeah, that is a young boy. What you doing in the bush there, buddy? Huh. What have you found? It seems to be using its mouth to do something. Possibly licking a buffalo poop. Lions will do that from time to time. What could be the story? Let's just give it a moment. Because even if we drive up there, I don't think we're going to have the best view of whatever it's trying to do. Yeah, it seems to me like it's licking something. Maybe an old kill, maybe some poop. And now, if it rolls in it, then it would confirm that to me that my guess of poop would be right. They do like to sometimes roll around in dung of herbivores. Laura Moore, you saying lions would freak you out a little bit in the darkness. It can be a little bit spooky, bearing in mind that everything around us when I look up is pitch black. But I guess like most things, once you get used to it, once you've done it a couple of times and realize that there's really not too much of a threat, you become a little bit more at ease. Youngsters can be a little bit cheeky though, and unpredictable. Well, I guess inquisitive. It's not like young lions cause major threats to us, but sometimes they make you think twice. They often run after the moving vehicle from that kind of chase mechanism being triggered. Come on walk past the car. There we go. No, seems like just wants to find more of whatever it's rolling in there. Well, what a treat right at the end of drive. Some bonus lions. And that serval. So there have been a number of cats seen this evening. All the leopards down on Juma. It's incredible how many leopards, or how often you get to see leopard down there. It really is very special. And I guess that's what's great about having these two locations. They each offer their own different kind of benefits and differences to one another. Now it's going to come cruising straight past the car. Looking in good nick, this youngster. Trying to duck out of the way. It's probably only 2 meters from us now, and really doesn't care about us at all. Now, I wonder if there's any more, because if it is the Olololo Pride, which I'm pretty certain it is, there is a big bunch of them. They're both just the two there for now. Let me turn around quickly. Maybe they're heading to try and reunite with the rest of the pride. Okay, well, it seems like the moon is getting everyone's attention this evening, and it really is looking beautiful up here, and I'm guessing it's not too different down south with Steve.
Indeed, Scotty D, the colour of the moon is beautiful. Full moon yesterday, I believe it was. This very red moon rising in the east. Very, very special. There it is. Always incredible that that's just a reflection off of the sun. Obviously orange colours due to the atmosphere, the dust particles, and the fact that the sunlight is having to travel all the way through our atmosphere to hit the moon, and then it reflects down. So that is essentially dust and gases in the atmosphere, pollution as it were. Marvellous, thanks Senzo. It's always nice to stop and have a look at the moon and the sunrise. We're very fortunate to be able to do that, and you know, I love to put them on camera for you. I know lots of you out there do appreciate us with our moon and sun shots. Just moments in the day, just to reflect on ourselves. Peace, says the icon in front of the moon, doesn't it? It's a peace moon. Very good. Okay, well thanks Senzo, that was gorgeous. We are slowly going to be making our way back. Hasn't been anything, I haven't heard anything. Hyena I think are probably still swimming or playing around somewhere. And we're going to continue on this way, see if we can be lucky with who knows what. Maybe a bush baby? Maybe Mukumuri is on the scene. He might make himself known. You never know what you can see out here. Well, as we drive away from the moon into the darkness, keeping our eyes peeled, it seems like Scotty D has managed to find some lions.
Welcome back everyone. We've just managed to get ahead of these two boys, and what a wonderful way to finish off the safari. There's some hyena whooping in the distance. Absolutely awesome. Now, just to keep you guys up to date as to what my plans will be for the next few days, I will be doing the next three sunrise safaris. So it'll be wonderful to have you guys along. DG will be switching to the evening shift. Where are you two boys going? And why have you disappeared from the rest of your pride? Little rebels. Let me see if I can turn us around and just give you some views of them disappearing off into the distance for the last minute or so of the drive. So thanks very much to all of you guys for joining in on the action. Well done to Taylor and Steve for producing the goods down in Djuma. And also a big thanks to Louise, who's directed the show. And of course on camera with me, James Kaimoe Muredi. who knows, maybe first thing tomorrow morning when we head out, we'll be able to catch up with these two and the rest of their pride. Failing that, I'm going to continue further south in search of either the Winos or the Sausage Tree Pride cubs. So those are my plans. Would love to have you along. See you then.